Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Welcome in. We are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you here. And we are at the Bike Expo, Wisconsin State Fair Park. Come on, stop on by. It's brought to you by Wheel and Sprocket, and this is unfreaking believable. Thousands of bikes, got accessories, helmets, all kinds of stuff lined up here at in the Expo building at State Fair Park, and it's free admission to come hang out, walk around, look around, check the whole thing out. You want to sit down and ride a bicycle, they got those. You want an electric bike, they got those. Any type of bike you could possibly imagine, I'm pretty sure they have them here. They have a whole section of kids' bikes. They have a whole section of used bikes. They got upright bikes, all kinds of different things. Probably tandem bikes. I'd have to go look around, but I'm guessing they probably do. I mean, you got thousands of bikes. I would imagine they have everything, that you could possibly want. And I believe they also have like where you can test drive like an electric bike on like a track potentially. And Tommy Wirtz previously was calling me out saying he wants video of me riding a bike here.
Ooh, a tricycle. Yeah, a little tiny one.
Yeah, I could definitely do that.
All right.
Yeah. I'll have to go see if they have a tricycle over there. I bet you that's too small, though, for the kids section. Either way, we'll get to it. Chuck Garbedian on golf. Talk some Masters golf coming up here at 2:40. Looking forward to that. Charlie, sounds of the day as normal at 3:40. Green and Gold update coming up at 4 o'clock. A corner on the market, it appears, from the Indianapolis Colts. How much interest should the Green Bay Packers have in said player, and what would you be willing to give up to get said player? We'll talk about that at 4. Plead the Fifth, brought to you by Habish and Rotier. That comes up at 4:20 today. Your opportunity to tell somebody to shush it on up. That's at 4:20. And then it's Follow the Money with Austin Herdini on the Potawatomi Sportsbook. That comes up at 4:40. So it's going to be a fun show for sure. Before we get into our first topic, which involves our buddy Doc Rivers, before we get to that, I told Charlie I was mad upon walking in. And I wasn't mad walking in. I was mad after I sat down, got everything situated. I stopped on the way here and stopped at the grocery store right over here in West Dallas, Rapina's. And they used to be a sponsor back in the day and all of that. So I stop at Rapina's. I run inside to grab a couple of sodas, right? And I swear to God, I thought I had bought 2 Mr. Pibbs. Because I was like, oh, Mr. Pibb, love Mr. Pibb. I'll get a couple Mr. Pibbs. So I got them. Put in my computer bag, came in. I took a sip. And as you can see here, right, it says Mr. Pibb.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah, right.
Unfortunately, when I take my hand away from it, Charlie, what does it say?
Punchin' Peach. Ooh, that sounds good to me.
Oh.
That would be Mr. Nose laughing
hysterically.
at you.
Yes, I can hear him. He should be laughing. Absolutely brutal.
Mitch says he loves peach. He'll come and get it. He's wearing like a peach sweater right now, so I think
I've got 2 of them, so you can have the other one if you come over here. Absolutely brutal. Ugh. So I'm going to have to deal with that for the rest of the show.
It'll be fine. It's still soda. It's still carbonated.
It'll save me from drinking a lot of soda. So
I guess. You got your waters there too, ready for you?
No, I didn't bring water. Forgot my waters.
You have 8 of them in the fridge here at work.
I know. I said I forgot. I'm sorry. I forgot. Okay, so let's start off talking about our guy, Doc Rivers, Bucks head coach, who apparently doing a little bit of a media tour, talking to some different people. And again, a lot of people expect Doc Rivers to not be back with the Milwaukee Bucks next season. People want Doc Rivers fired. I've said before, I think he'll just retire. Based on what he said a couple of nights ago, I think he pretty much confirmed that's probably how this is going to go. He's probably going to retire and save the Milwaukee Bucks a lot of money from having to pay him the rest of his contract, which is very nice of Doc Rivers. So where would you like to start, Charlie? There's so much audio. I'll let you kind of lead the parade on what cuts we want to go to.
Yeah, so most of these are from Run It Back. He said a lot of the same things on Run It Back, and he was also on the Dan Patrick Show as well. The first one I want to start with was how he started off the interview with those guys over there, Michelle Beadle, Chandler Parsons, Lou Williams. He was discussing if the relationship between Giannis and the Bucks can be fixed.
I hope so. They've had so much good together. Like John Horst, West, the organization, and Giannis, they built a championship. And when you win something like that, I'm just going from my perspective. If you're tied for life, like it's like a blood transfusion. That doesn't mean you don't have family arguments, and this is one of them. But being on the same page, yeah, I do. I just think their relationship goes too deep to let something like this. And it's not the relationship part where they're not together has nothing to do with the trade stuff. It really doesn't. It's more about should he play the next couple of days or not, and moving forward. Can we work together? And I really believe they can.
It's interesting that he says we, but then he says they. And I know I'm being radio guy here and micro-analyzing choice of words when a guy is just randomly talking to somebody. But to me, it makes it sound like everything was all good between Giannis and these guys up until this point where maybe it went sideways. Giannis himself has talked about couples counseling and compared it to couples counseling. Maybe we can go to couples counseling and get all back on the same page again and figure this thing out. Maybe that is exactly what happens at the end of the day. It does not appear he is playing the last couple of games for the Milwaukee Bucks, so you are not going to have to worry about seeing Giannis out there playing. This one is a done deal. Now, whether or not he's played his last game at Fiserv Forum or not, we will have to wait and see. More and more people are starting to believe that he's just going to sign the extension in October and not pass up on that money, which means you will then have an opportunity to see him play again. If he, in fact, is indeed done in Milwaukee and he is not going to sign the extension to come somewhere else, to be honest, that kind of sucks because you never got to celebrate that one last game where you knew, okay, this is it. He's out. Now we're going to have to figure it out. And to a certain degree, that's what happened in Cleveland with LeBron James the first time when he made his decision on TV. They, I think, all assumed he would just be back in Cleveland and not leave them, considering he was from Akron. He's not leaving us. And then he goes on TV and announces he's taking his talents to South Beach, and people are burning LeBron jerseys, and people are heartbroken. But what happened there? He comes back later and wins a championship for Cleveland like he promised he would when he got drafted by Cleveland and made everything right. Giannis already won a championship here. Giannis is already into his 30s. If Giannis were to come back after leaving, it would be for a cup of coffee for a year, a retirement year, or to sign officially as a Buck to retire or something like that. So it's not going to be in the same style as LeBron, who was still at his peak when he came back to Cleveland that second time, Charlie, which kind of differentiates it. If this was Giannis's last time, it very well could have been the very last time.
Yeah, and I think with LeBron, you point out he was in his prime, but not only was he in his prime, like Cleveland did everything potentially in their power to put a team ready to go for LeBron when he came back to Cleveland. The Bucks are kind of at this point where if they want to do that, they have to get rid of everything. And I don't know if they fully want to do that at this point. They haven't committed to anything yet. They haven't committed really until Giannis is willing to commit to them, and then they'll make some decisions. And if they wanted to put together some kind of rebuild like that, like the Cleveland Cavaliers did, it takes 4 seasons away from the team to do that. And by that point, Giannis is going to be in either his last year of his career or one of the last years of his career. And like you said, he'd come back for like that 1-year deal just to retire in Milwaukee that way. I think at this point, if Giannis wants to go and explore other options, he should probably do that. And then the next time we see him in a Bucks uniform is when he signs the 1-day contract to finish out his career and when they hang his jersey in the rafters. Those should be the next time we should see him. I don't want to see this break up and then get back together for no reason.
The other part about this, too, I think when we look at it, I think Mike Budenholzer, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, Brooke Lopez, PJ Tucker, anybody that was on that championship team will be able to come back and sign autographs and kiss babies and take pictures and make money the rest of their life in the state of Wisconsin, and especially in southeastern Wisconsin, regardless of how all the relationships eventually ended, right? Holiday gets moved, Middleton gets moved, Giannis eventually gets moved if that's what ends up happening. Budenholzer gets canned and ends up going somewhere else and coaching. But at the end, when they're coming back to celebrate 10 years, when they're coming back to celebrate 15 and 20 and that type of deal, everybody's going to show out, man. I promise you, they're going to show out to come support this team when they come back to do different stuff. And that's a pretty cool deal from that perspective. All right, what's next, Charlie?
The next part that I wanted to talk about here with Doc Rivers on Run It Back TV, he was discussing Shams and his inaccurate reporting with ESPN so far this past year.
We have a great relationship. You know, Shams wrote an article that was so inaccurate that I don't have enough time to go into. He talked about a locker room thing, and I was laughing like, yeah, we had a tough locker room day. We lost to the Chicago Bulls with a 20-point lead. I showed clips the next day of guys who were screwing up. That's what happens in a locker room. You know, the first thing I thought, where's Woj? I miss Woj so much. That was the first.
No, Doc, don't say it.
Well,
we can't stand Shams. We can't stand him.
So, couple things here. If he plans on going back to do TV, I think you can cross out ESPN and ABC now after going after Sharania like that. That's number one. Number two, the Miss Woj thing is fun because Woj is failing miserably in his basketball journey in college basketball. So who knows? Maybe Woj ends up back as the insider again. We'll see how that whole thing plays out. It appears that clearly there were moles in that locker room that were running to Shams about locker room stuff. The Giannis stuff, I'm pretty sure that was from his age, and I don't think I've changed my mind on that yet to this point until I hear more or see more from somebody. There's already been wild speculation that maybe Cam Thomas was the mole at the end of the year because he was unhappy with his role and not playing and everything else. So he was the guy potentially that was the mole in all this. I don't know. It doesn't matter because really at the end of the day, this was a bad roster that didn't work out because their star player couldn't stay healthy all year. And it doesn't matter who else was on that roster, unless it was another star player to carry the load here, like a potentially healthy Damian Lillard who could average 25 to 30 a night or something like that. Then maybe you're able to overcome Giannis missing over half the season. But outside of that, this wasn't going to work. So you have a bunch of selfish basketball players that are running and telling stories, trying to get the coach fired, who they're mad at because they're not getting the minutes or they're not getting the respect the way they want to. This just goes back to where we are now, right? You can't necessarily coach the way you coached 20 years ago. You can't treat people necessarily the way you treated people 20 years ago. Now you yell at somebody and they'll go crying to mommy or daddy that, oh, I was being harassed. Somebody was yelling at me. Like you really have to be careful of how you go about things. And I don't think it's any different when you're talking about multimillionaires, talking to multimillionaires and a coach getting mad at his team like he would have, 20 years ago, like when Doc was coaching. I promise you, Doc could have yelled at KG and Rondo and Pierce and Allen, whatever, and they just took it because that's how it was. Ray had George Karl. Like, they've all kind of been through it. KG had Flip Saunders. They've all been through it with these guys that this was just part of the norm. And I think maybe somewhere along the line, maybe there is a disconnect between Doc and locker rooms, since then that just don't, for whatever the reason, respond the way that those teams did back, earlier in his coaching career.
Well, and I think Doc in Boston just had the perfect locker room around him too. Like you mentioned, it was a lot of guys that knew how to deal with that type of coaching style. Because even during that time, you had other NBA players that couldn't deal with hard coaching. I mean, Gilbert Arenas got kicked off his team for strangleholding a guy and pointing guns at people. Like, you have issues during that time where these players were still kind of drama queens. And yes, when you do get to multimillionaires talking to multimillionaires, there's a lot of ego going on there. And there's a lot of guys that are going to have their egos hurt. One guy, you mentioned Cam Thomas getting released from this team, and he's kind of being floated around as this mole. One comment that people were harping on specifically and what they're attributing Cam Thomas to is the whole look me up comment that Doc Rivers had, and saying that Cam Thomas was potentially the guy that was fighting back with Doc. Doc talked about that on Run It Back as well.
That was taken so out of context because I was kind of referring to, and I don't want to get too deep into it. This is the other thing. I wouldn't say anything about the meeting because it's no one's business. You know what I mean? Like, I hate that allegedly there were players who talked, and I think it was more agents who talked than players, but that's for another day. There's always one, though, Lou. When you have articles like this, there's one guy talking. which is pretty obvious if you read the article who it is. But, you know, it was taken out of context to what I was trying to say. I had a guy that kept talking about his stats. And so I was basically saying the same thing. Well, I have stats too, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So it was more taken out of context of what was said.
Again, like I said, you put together a roster with some dudes that are selfish, me guys, and then that affected everybody else on that roster and in that locker room, and they couldn't dig themselves out. And the guy that should have been there to help dig themselves out and be a leader and fight back is your best basketball player, who wasn't around the team probably as much as he could have been while he was hurt and rehabbing, whatever else. And then when he was hurt and rehabbing and was around the team, it doesn't appear to me that he was in the middle of this trying to figure it out and get people's heads right. It feels like, again, I wasn't in the locker room, but it feels like he was kind of on the outside watching this whole thing happen and then having comments about how, well, these guys, you know, they don't understand. They're more concerned about shots, not passing and winning the ball. Okay, dude, were you there? Did you corner Cam Thomas and be like, you need to shut the hell up? I'm done with all this. Either you're going to get on boat with us or we'll find somebody else and we'll move forward. Kyle Kuzma running up and telling his guards, don't listen to Doc. You just go do you. Like, if Giannis knew about that, was Giannis up in Kuzma's face telling him to knock it off? Like, I highly doubt it. I highly doubt that he was being the leader, that he was trying to get this locker room centered and going in the right direction. Do I believe Bobby Portis was? Yes, because we heard about the outburst with Bobby Portis. But at some time, if you're the only guy running your head into the wall and nobody else is coming with you, eventually you just throw your hands up and go, okay, I give up. Apparently nobody else cares but me. I'm done. That's eventually how this plays, Charlie.
I think so. And I think with Giannis, and I don't know if I agree with this 100%, but I do kind of get where he's coming from. I think there's partially the reason he's not around the locker room, around this team as much when he's been in this kind of injury state and the Bucks have been trying to keep him off the court, is him showing, hey, this is what's going to happen if I'm not a part of this team. He's kind of stepping back and saying, I've been the leader. I've been doing this my entire career. You guys need to see what happens when you lose me, not just from a player standpoint, on the court standpoint, but the culture standpoint and all these guys and how they handle not having this type of star player in the room. And again, I don't know if I 100% agree with that. I think that looks bad to the Bucks if you're talking about from Giannis, and that it makes it seem like he's being selfish in a situation where they already feel like he's being selfish. But at the same time, they have to realize this is what reality is without Giannis. If Giannis isn't there in the locker room, if Giannis isn't there to coach these guys up secondarily to the head coach, then they are going to get big heads because this team is not very good. And that you have a bunch of players on this roster that would rather play for themselves than play for the name on their jerseys, on the front of their jerseys. And I think that's what he's trying to prove. But at the same time, when you already kind of look like a jerk, doing that just makes you look more like a jerk.
I think the other part about this, if John Horst stays, you got to do a better job figuring out personalities, figuring out backgrounds of guys. How do they play into the locker room that you want, and making sure they're doing it the right way?
Well, and I think my problem...
Pat Murphy and Matt Arnold, the Brewers, they've got it down to a science.
Well,
like, they know the type of guys they want in their locker room. They don't care if they're 5'6" or 6'4", but there's a mentality and a way to play and how you approach it day to day. And if you don't fit that makeup of what they want, you will not be a Milwaukee Brewer, regardless of how talented you may be.
No, and I think when you look at some of the guys on this roster, you brought up Kyle Kuzma, you've seen the type of player and type of person he's been throughout his career. He's a guy who wants to get his shots, and if he's not getting his shots, it kind of becomes a problem. He brings down the rest of the team. Kevin Porter Jr. is potentially one of the worst guys off the court in basketball, if we're being frank. Like, what?
I don't know him off the court.
Lots of arrests, domestic abuse,
I
stuff
know
like
all
that
stuff, yeah.
But
sure, but I don't know what he's like in a locker room. I have no idea.
When you bring that type of, I guess, distraction into a locker room, and then when he's been on the court, been a guy who's a me guy, wants to take a lot of shots, gets frustrated when he's not taking those shots, and then that's when the off the court issues kind of arose for him when he was in Cleveland, when he was in Houston, was when he wasn't that star player anymore. Like, you know the personalities of these guys at least. And when you have that type of history behind some of these players in the league and you still try to bring them in just because they could be talented on the court, you get situations like this where the leader of the team, or there's a disconnect between the leaders of the group of players on the team, from some of these younger guys that are just trying to make a name for themselves. And I think a guy like Ryan Rollins probably fits in pretty well. But when you have bad influences around him trying to tell him to do something else or go a different way, that's where it becomes a problem when Bobby Portis's voice isn't strong enough, when Miles Turner is completely quiet, when Giannis isn't in the locker room. Kuzma and Kevin Porter Jr. and Jay Crowder, all these guys that have had their issues over the past couple of years, they're going to speak up a little bit more.
So that's the thing. So the KPJ thing, I mean, you've seen him not take shots in games and get 10, 12 assists and be that guy. I think Doc has been good for him. I don't know if he'd agree with me, but it appears that he definitely has got into his head a little bit about being more of a true point guard than just being a me score guy. But like Giannis, can't stay healthy, can't stay on the floor. You didn't see KPJ and Ryan Rollins play together for 75 games, 80 games. Like, you never saw it. KPG goes out for a big stretch, comes back, and then boom, gone for the rest of the year again, is having surgery. That's the type of stuff, again, that works against this roster. So not only are you having the conflicts in-house, and conflicts arise when you're losing, and I think I can do more. If you just let me shoot, I'll go win us some games. Let me play. And then the coach is like, well, I could care less what you think you can do. I'm going to play the guys that play the way I want them to play. And then you have the fan base going, okay, Doc, the guys that you want to play that are playing, they're not playing defense. And offensively, it's brutal right now at this point. Absolutely brutal. So that's the give and take. And I think we all agree Doc won't be back next year. And if John Horst is back next year, you've just got to do a better job of figuring out what type of locker room you want. And that has to go into who the head coach is going to be. Who's that guy going to be? And what type of personalities do they want to coach? Does it matter to them as much as it may matter to me or as much as it may matter to Charlie? Because you do not want those bad apples in your room at any point, especially if you don't have Giannis and you don't have strong veteran leadership. It's going to kill everybody. It's never, ever going to work. And the same thing goes with whoever you're going to draft in the first round. Might be uber talented, but if they're a me guy and they're a problem in the locker room and they're a problem away from the basketball court, do you really want to roll the dice and see what that looks like bringing that person in at this point? Is it just about the points or is there more to it? Something else the Bucks have to weigh if they're picking around pick 10 or 11 in the first round of this draft in June, Charlie.
I think you have to find a guy, and in the same vein of what OKC and Boston and San Antonio has done in the drafts over the past 10 years or so, and find a player that, yes, you can feel comfortable in his scoring ability, but you also have to feel comfortable that for a season or two, he's willing to play really tough defense and pass the ball a ton or rebound a ton and not score 20 points a game. When you look at San Antonio specifically, they have 3 point guards who are all fighting for starting roles or looking to have a bigger role with a team that is a championship caliber. But then the younger players are willing to take a step back and say, you know what, I can be that secondary guy to a De'Aaron Fox if it means winning. I think that looks better on a young player early on, especially if you're a guy like Stephon Castle, who I think comes in with this inside scoring kind of pedigree that it matches a De'Aaron Fox, and say, you know what, I'm going to try harder on defense than I ever have. I'm going to try harder passing and rebounding and just being more aggressive around the ball so that when De'Aaron Fox is scoring, people notice that I'm doing these other things, and then somebody may give me a shot. Maybe the Spurs will give me a shot to be that star point guard in the future because they know I can do these other things in the past.
And again, you go and you look at what the Bucks were with Middleton and Lopez and Portis and Giannis. You bring in a personality from the outside, they're quickly squashed immediately about, this is our team. You're going to play the way we want you to play, and we're the leaders. So fall in behind us, and that's how this is going to roll. Once you lose all those guys, and now it's just Giannis and Portis, and Giannis isn't around, and now it's Bobby by himself. Bobby's not a Hall of Famer. Bobby is a great guy off the bench, but that's about the extent of it for Bobby. And Bobby Portis himself has been a black hole at times when he's on the offensive side of the floor. He isn't the best defensive player on the floor either. So now you're Cam Thomas like, whoa, hold on. You want me to play harder on defense? Man, I see you play defense. You're not great. Whoa. You don't want me to take as many shots, but you don't pass the ball all that much either, Bobby. So, like, you have that yin and that yang of guys can come back at Bobby, and Bobby sometimes isn't going to have that answer. When you've got a group of veterans that have a ring, that have done it and been there together in that organization, 1 versus 4, 1 versus 5, it's over quickly.
Definitely. I think when you look at the group of veterans that the Bucks had, you had a Brook Lopez willing to change his game and take a step back in the style of play that he had physically and mentally,
right,
and take a different role. You had Bobby Portis take on a different role than what he was expecting in Chicago and Washington when he was playing there. And then you had a Drew Holiday who was playing that kind of Stephon Castle role that I was talking about, say, hey, I'm ready to take that next step. I'm ready to be an all-star level player. And he took that next step because the Bucks gave him a shot. You had a lot of guys willing to take on the roles that were presented to them. And right now, I don't think you have that group of guys.
That's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Live from the Bike Expo right here at Wisconsin State Fair Park inside the Expo building, brought to you by Wheel and Sprocket. And I'm telling you, there are over 2,000 bikes of all kinds on sale, including hundreds of used bikes and electric bikes. Shop thousands of accessories, blowout items, parts, apparel, and more. Plus, test ride an e-bike on their indoor test track right here by us. Be a part of the excitement. Come join us. It's going on all weekend long, today, tomorrow, and Sunday. Free admission. Join us here at the Bike Expo sale, brought to you by Wheel and Sprocket. Coming up next, some controversy around Mr. Ohtani in L.A. Plus, we'll get to Chuck Garbedian of Garbedian on Golf Saturday mornings from 7 to 9. Talk some Masters golf with him coming up at about 2:40. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here.
All right, I guess I'm bringing this one in. This is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Oh, there he is. The bumper music was.
Hey, man, the restrooms are like 10 minutes away from where I'm sitting. I did my best to get there and get back in time. I swear to you. I didn't even talk to anybody.
There's no bike next to your table right now that can take you to the restrooms, Marky. Come on.
Right. No, I literally
get a bike and ride over there.
Yeah, I should have taken, that's a good idea. One of the electric bikes take me over there.
Exactly.
It's literally, the Expo building at Safer Park is gigantic, let me tell you, right? So out here at the Bike Expo, there's all kinds of people walking around, everything else. So I was like, where's the bathroom, Will? Our promotions guy's like, other side. I was like, oh, come on. So yeah, I walked all the way over there, turned around, came all the way back. Still didn't make it back in time. So I apologize, Charlie. Nicely done covering for me. Okay, so there's some things going on with Shohei Ohtani, and Dave Roberts of the Dodgers is the one that kind of started all of this, if we're being honest, right, Charlie?
Yeah. So
he's the one that brought this up. And the issue is Dave Roberts is like, hey, man, if he's going to be playing and hitting and potentially be on base or be out of breath or whatever the case may be, he should get extra time to throw more so than any other pitcher in baseball. Like, he should be given additional time. And apparently the umpires in Major League Baseball have decided that that's right, that we're going to allow him time. Well, George Springer the other day went to the umpire and said, hey, what's going on here? We're giving him extra time to throw? And they're like, yeah, we're going to give him some extra time to throw because, again, he's a two-way player. The question that I have is simple. Should he be given more time to warm up than every other pitcher? Should he be given more time than Brandon Woodruff? Should he be given more time than The Miz? All right. Should he be given more warm-up pitches and more time than everybody else in Major League Baseball? And this blew up on social media, I'm here to tell you. And the reason it blew up on social media was because you have fans that aren't Dodger fans that don't care about Shohei Ohtani being too tired or not being ready or anything else because of the size of the Dodgers payroll. They just won a championship. They've been doing their thing. Like, they don't want to hear about the Dodgers crying about anything at this point, right?
I get it.
So one person had tweeted about this and said, let me see if I got this straight. Pitchers were hitting in the National League for like 100 years, and now all of a sudden Ohtani can't figure out how to go pitch after he had hit in the previous inning. So that is a beautiful point. Then I found a account called Rational Yankee Fan. Now this one, anytime you see an account that says rational, it's probably not going to be rational.
Irrational, yeah.
Having said that, this is what that person says. MLB should absolutely not be allowing Shohei Ohtani more time to warm up than any other pitcher. If Ohtani's choice to be a two-way player, hitters should not have to wait around for additional time between innings because a guy on the other team can't get warmed up in the same amount of time as everyone else. Either he can handle the rigors of being a two-way player or he can't. But changing the rules for him is ridiculous, says this Twitter account, Rational Yankees Fan on X. I agree with Rational Yankees Fan. This is absolutely ridiculous. If you want to be a two-way guy, then you're going to have to figure it out, Shohei. And if you can't figure it out, then you can pick whether you want to be a pitcher or whether you want to be a hitter. Now, this is not a situation where he's struggling pitching and that's why he needs extra time because the first few pitches he's walking a guy every time after he comes off of a hit or something. There's no evidence to that fact of anything even close to that. He's a damn good pitcher. He's a damn good hitter. So this is simply trying to buy him a little time in Dave Roberts' mind. And apparently it's worked because some of these umpires are doing just that, Charlie.
Yeah. And I rationally agree with you guys. I think, yes.
Thank you.
I think rationally it makes sense that he shouldn't get any more time than anybody else. Irrationally, it's Shohei Ohtani. And as somebody who's just a fan of the game, I think we're potentially watching the greatest player of all time in Shohei Ohtani, and I would like to see him on the field as much as possible. And if there is any truth to this extra warm-up time that he's getting that's keeping him on the field longer, I'm happy to allow it, if I'm being completely honest, because it's not really taking that much more time. Hitters get extra time to warm up now, too. You get to take a couple extra practice swings and get loose. George Springer, when he was talking to the umpire, wasn't mad about it, according to Ken Rosenthal. He was just asking. He was just curious about the rule and what the setup is. Again, I think as long as we get to see Shohei Ohtani play baseball, I'm happy with that. And this is something that isn't taking that big of a chunk out of the game of baseball.
But you are coming at this, and understandably so, as a sports fan. You are not coming at this as a person competing against Shohei Ohtani. You're not coming at this from an aspect of a manager managing against a Dodgers team with Shohei Ohtani. That's all part of this. And I get down with that. Now, you got a two-way player in Jacksonville, Travis Hunter. Ain't a two-way player no more. That all ended yesterday. So having played corner and played wide receiver at Colorado, and here comes Travis Hunter. I'm going to play both ways. I'm going to be great. I'm going to do it both ways. Travis Hunter now is only a cornerback, folks. He is no longer playing wide receiver unless
Dynasty
it's a trick play or something, right, or something crazy like that. Now he's just a corner. But he lost that because he couldn't handle that. That is not what is going on here with Ohtani, to clarify that. All right, coming up next, Chuck Garbedian on Golf, Saturday mornings from 7 to 9. We'll get his thoughts on what's going on in the Masters coming up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. If you get out here before 5 o'clock, out here at the Bike Expo, powered by Wheel and Sprocket, we got some T-shirts, but I don't got a ton. So if you want a T-shirt, you're going to have to come out here and get one before we're out of here at 5 o'clock. Again, Wisconsin State Fair Park Expo sale, over 2,000 bikes of all kinds on sale, including hundreds of used bikes and electric bikes going on all weekend long between now and the 12th on Sunday. Plus, you can ride an e-bike on their indoor test track. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Pfeiffer live from the Bike Expo sale brought to you by Wheel and Sprocket out here at Wisconsin State Fair Park at the Expo building. Thousands of bikes. They're saying there's over 2,000 bikes of all kinds here. They have electric bikes. They have a test track to ride an electric bike. They've got kids' bikes, upright bikes, used bikes. Plus, they got all the accessories. There's tables filled with helmets sitting in front of me. Everything you could possibly imagine involving a bike they have here at Wisconsin State Fair Park, and it's free admission. It's going today, tomorrow, and Sunday. So if you are interested, maybe you're looking to get a kid for your bike for your kid, or maybe a bike for yourself. Charlie, you and your girl, you all do a lot of bike riding?
Not really. Neither one of us have one. We got kind of a small apartment, not a big storage area, so we don't
got nowhere to put it.
Yeah.
Just store it in the garage at the station.
Oh yeah, that's true. We got space. I'll put it in the studio. We can reclutter the extra space that we cleared out.
Yeah, people can ride in it between
Perfect,
shows.
yeah.
Yeah, sure. Chuck Garbedian, big bike rider, I think. He joins us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Chuck, how are we doing today?
Oh, wonderful. You're kidding? We're in the second round of the Masters. What could be better?
I don't know. That's a good question. Garbedian on golf Saturday mornings from 7 to 9. I heard your promo running. You have a loaded show coming up on Saturday.
Well, everyone is going to be live from Augusta National, either on property, hopefully not like Mark Calcavecchio, where you get your cell phone absconded and then they take you off the property. They literally physically escort you off the property. They don't want you using your cell phone. And so it'll be the Garys in the first hour, Gary Van Sickle from Sports Illustrated, Gary D'Amato from Wisconsin.golf, and then it'll be Rex Hoggard from Golf Channel will join us, and then Ron Green Jr. from Global Golf Post. So everybody has a unique perspective. It's fun because you can ask them all the same question. You get 4 different answers. It works out great.
Yeah, that's a good thing indeed. Leading right now, as you look at the leaderboard for the Masters, Rory McIlroy, 2 under for the day, 7 under total right now through 7. Was Rory McIlroy a guy that you were talking about potentially winning this? I mean, from a name perspective of, names that people know Jason Day. He's up there. Patrick Reed, people know him. He's up there. Justin Rose, obviously people know. So the top 4, all names that people have heard for quite some time.
Well, this is going to be a leaderboard that's filled with a lot of top flight names simply because of the field. The field is 91 players. Some of the players in the field you'll never hear of. You may not hear from them again because they're amateurs, and they may have a sparkling pro career. They may not, but the ones that you're going to hear from are going to be McIlroy, Rose, Day, Reed. Tyrrell Hatton today had a day. He was 6 under for the day. Low round so far at the tournament at 66. Earlier in the week when I was on with Rami and Kuhn, I picked Justin Rose because I just think he's a guy who's got it all. Physically, he can play. Emotionally, he's all set. He doesn't need to win a major. He's already got a major. And the 2 times that he's been in a playoff, most of the time that scorer in the playoff would have won a tournament outright. So he's primed and ready to go. His comportment is perfect this week. He's answered all the right questions. He said all the right things, and he's got more game than he knows what to do with. It'll be interesting because on Sunday it'll probably come down to McIlroy, Rose, and probably Patrick Reed with Jason Day thrown in there just for fun.
When we talk about golf, maybe not you, but normal average Joe golfers, right? It's drive for show, putt for dough. How are the greens, and will they play into this before this weekend is over?
Well, it's a sub-air system, so they can put as much moisture or take out as much moisture as they want at Augusta National. Fast and firm has been the mantra for the golf course so far, simply because of the way it's set up and the way they've got it. Weather-wise, it's been perfect for what they want to do. Some players were saying earlier in the day the greens were a little wetter than normal, so consequently that moisture slowed the greens down, so some guys are kind of thrown off by that. It'll be interesting to see what takes place through the rest of the weekend and how that shakes out.
What about this whole idea about live golf players rolling this? Tom Watson obviously has an issue with it. What's your stance on it?
With the live guys playing, the live guys can play it. The guys have qualified for it. I don't think they're going to do well simply because the competition that they face week in and week out doesn't help them to become better golfers during the course of the tournament, especially this kind of a tournament. You have to have the angles right. Your game has to be good for everything to go right when you're playing at Augusta National.
Because Tom Watson, I don't know if you saw this or not, is calling for lifetime bans of these guys that went over there, like Reed and like Brooks Koepka.
Yeah, Tom Watson is an old soul who really, you remember during the Skins game, the Made for Fun thing that they used to do in the fall? He was the one that called out Gary Player for cheating. So, I mean, he doesn't even take the fun stuff fun. He just goes after whoever he wants to go after. And he thinks these guys left for the money. If they wanted the money, let them go. And that's what they get. This is what they wanted. Let them have what they wanted. Go away from me. I don't want to see you anywhere near. So I would imagine during the Masters dinner on Tuesday, there's a group of players that stay as far away from Tom Watson as they can in the Champions Dining Room.
Talk with Chuck Garbedian. Garbedian on golf Saturday mornings, including tomorrow morning, 7 to 9 here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. He joins us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you from the Bike Expo sale, brought to you by Wheel and Sprocket out here at State Fair Park at the Expo building. What about Tiger Woods? Has he been a topic of conversation that you've heard amongst writers and golfers probably out there at the Masters with everything that happened to him leading up to this week?
Nothing, he's reportedly out of the country. Nobody really knows. That's what was said. It was interesting. I had on Jonathan LeBoy from Kim and LeBoy Law Firm last week on the show just to talk about the legal ramifications. This is one of the ploys that you use when you're trying to get ahead of what the story is you voluntarily go into rehab. So that way it looks like you're doing something. Look, I'm taking responsibility. It was my fault. I'm doing all the right stuff. They haven't talked about them. There's been no discussion. There's been a couple things that have been said in terms of, we really feel sorry for the guy. We hope he gets okay. We hope he gets the treatment that he needs. It's good for the game of golf that he's playing and doing whatever. I mean, the simple fact is this is a guy whose leg is an erector set. And he's probably been in pain forever because of the multiple back surgeries, multiple knee surgeries, all the stuff that he's gone through. And he's still trying to get out there and play. There's really nothing left for him to prove. He's one of the best players of our time, of our generation. What more do you want from the guy? And I just think there's so many things going on in his life, and he's being pulled in so many directions that, he doesn't know which way is up sometimes. And, when the DUI came, it was driving under the influence. There was no alcohol because he didn't blow anything in the alcohol. So it had to be something else. Refused to take urinalysis in Florida. That's why you get arrested. And so consequently, he's getting hopefully the help that he needs to be a normal human being. But Tiger will never be a normal human being because he's never been a normal human being. His normal is not our normal. It's a completely different normal. So hopefully he gets the care that he needs and can get back to doing whatever it is he likes to do when he likes to do it in a healthy way.
I'm telling you, I don't think anybody can comprehend the amount of pressure that dude's been under since he was like, 4, 5 when he started appearing on TV shows, however old he was.
Easily, yeah. He was out with Mike Douglas when he was 3.
3.
I mean,
that's what it was. Yeah, 3.
Yeah. I mean, he's 3 years old. He's hitting golf balls in front of Mike Douglas in a national TV audience, not really knowing what he's doing. I mean, he's a kid. He's 3 years old. But that's the kind of microscope and white-hot lights he's been under since he was, a toddler.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Absolutely crazy. Chuck, thanks so much for coming on. We got to get to break. Garbedian on golf tomorrow morning, 7 to 9. Get all the stuff you want to know on the Masters tomorrow morning. Everything you want to know about golf each and every Saturday morning with Garbedian on golf. Chuck, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Get up.
There goes. Yep, there goes Chuck Garbedian on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Follow Chuck on X at Garbedian on golf on X. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky, Pfeiffer, Charlie Houston. Coming up next, let's talk about the crew. The minor leagues were rolling last night, specifically Double A. Want to play some highlights from that. And Charlie came across something that's going to really have you thinking as somebody that lives in the state of Wisconsin. That's coming up next.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
It is time again as we broadcast live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook out here at the Bike Expo sale, brought to you by Wheel and Sprocket, State Fair Park, inside of the Expo building. Enter on the west side, and then we are good here all weekend long. Today, tomorrow, Sunday, the Expo has the bike sale going on. Take your pick from over 2,000 bikes of all kinds on sale, including hundreds of used bikes and electric bikes. Shop thousands of accessories, blowout items, parts, apparel, and more. Plus, test ride an e-bike on their indoor test track. Be a part of the excitement. Join us here at the Bike Expo sale today, tomorrow, and Sunday, brought to you by Wheel and Sprocket. All right, Charlie, it is 3 o'clock, which means it's time for this.
It's time to talk about the crew. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
I first want to start off by talking about the minor leagues, and then we'll get into Charlie's topic that he has for this segment, which I think is a very, very fun, lighthearted, and interesting conversation that we're going to have amongst ourselves. If you're in Wausau, you're definitely going to have a take. If you're in Green Bay, you're definitely going to have a take. If you are in Duluth Superior listening to us, you're going to have a take listening to us on the game there. And if you're in Southeastern Wisconsin listening to us on the Fan, you'll have a take there as well. By the way, we have a bunch of T-shirts still to give away here. We've given out, a few of them, 5, 6 of them so far. Still have some T-shirts to give away out here. So if you're coming out to the Bike Expo between now and 5 o'clock, free admission, come on up. Say, what's up, Sparky? We can get you a T-shirt. Got all kinds of different sizes that you can pick from. All right, Charlie, let's start in the minor leagues. I don't really want to talk about Nashville because, to be honest, their hitters suck right now, and it's depressing. I looked down at Wilson, which is the low A club. They just started like the Timber Rattlers. The guys at Wilson, they're not doing all that great either. So really, the ones that are kind of clicking along right here, it seems like, is more along the lines of Double A and some Timber Rattlers. I mean, Fisher's just a beast, right? I mean, what are we going to say about Fisher? The fact that he's in A-ball right now is beyond dumb to me. I don't understand it. I want to call Matt Arnold dumb. He knows better than me. But considering the guy at third base, Brock Wilkin, is hitting under 30. I think he's hitting 29 right now at AAA Nashville. With all due respect, I don't know how much longer you give a guy hitting 29 before you decide to make a move on Brock Wilkin back down to AA. Anyway, one of the guys that's been raking is the youngest guy in AA right now, Jesus Madej.
Here's the 3-2. Ripped right side, base hit over Snyder's mitt, and it rolls into the corner. Madej's around first. Trimble just gets to it. Madej loses the helmet, turns around second, goes to third. Here is the relay. The throw is not in time. It's a swim tag for Madej. Madej swings and ropes it first base side over Snyder's mitt, and in the same exact spot down the right field line. Nicasia and O'Ray both score. Madej's around second. Is it 2 triples? It is. This one is standing, and it's 3-1 Shuckers.
His next at bat, I believe it was his very next at bat, he had an RBI single to follow up those 2 triples. So three hits, 4 RBIs on the night last night for Madej. He is right now hitting, again, youngest player in AA. He is hitting .370 with a .452 on-base percentage and a .630 slugging. I know it's only 6 games, but it appears to me that he is not going to be in Biloxi and AA very long, Charlie.
You want my hot take? I think he's
got a hot take?
I think he's a Brewer before the end of the season. I think he makes it to the major league level as someone. David Hamilton keeps not hitting at the same rate he is. Yeah, exactly. Luis Renjifo hasn't really been any kind of revelation for this team. Joey Ortiz hasn't really taken that next step despite a first good game earlier in the season. It just feels like at some point this year with the Brewers and their injury history that they're going to have to take a gamble on somebody. And I don't think it's going to be through a trade. I think you have the pieces in your minor league. If he keeps hitting like this and you bring him up to AAA and he spends 2 weeks at AAA and is hitting the same exact way, how can you leave him down there? You have to give him the opportunity, especially when you see Connor Griffin playing as well as he is at the major league level for the Pirates, especially since Kevin McGonigal is getting up to the major league level for Detroit. You have these players around him. And then you have Jackson Churio on your team. I mean, you've given guys like this opportunities before. Just do it now. I think he's going to be a Brewer before the end of the year.
I hope you're right. I think that would be cool. It'd be cool if we could see Fisher and Madej both at the major league level. And I think there's expectation that Pratt will be here at the major league level too. He's hitting like 200 right now. He just got going again after missing games, waiting to pass his physical to sign his contract extension. But guys, you also have to remember Madej is a switch hitter. Right? Switch hitter.
Uh-huh.
All three of those were from the left side.
Mm-hmm.
All three of them.
He's a star.
So this isn't just, he's really good and yeah, he hits right-handed. No, he's really good both ways that he hits both sides. It doesn't matter. Like that's crazy to me, right? That's absolutely crazy.
Sparky, if we go over to the YouTube dugout chat, a guy who hasn't texted in a while or talked in a while, Q says, I went to a Sounds game last week, Tuesday, and it was awesome. Tyler Black had a game. Your favorite.
Yeah, that's why he said it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's fine. I mean, that's good. I'll tell you what, and go back to Tyler Black. That wouldn't surprise me if this Brewers team continues to struggle to hit, that they decide, hell, let's just bring him back up and see if he can figure it out this time, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, Keston Hero had a million chances, so why not him? Another guy that's balling, a guy that was at first base at Tennessee, the University of Tennessee, before Andrew Fisher. The Brewers drafted him a year previous. Blake Burke doing his thing, Charlie.
Payoff. Burke lines it deep into left center. And this ball is gone. Home run number 5 for Blake Burke. He adds on 2 more for the Shuckers, and it's 8-1, and we're only in the bottom of the 3rd.
Well, guess what? He had another one. 6 games. He has 6 homers, does Blake Burke, the first baseman down there at AA. He's hitting .296. His OPS is 1.345, Charlie.
That's pretty good.
As a starting first baseman. In 43 games at AA so far, he has 17 homers with a slash line of .299 batting average, .372 on base, and a 1.019 OPS in 43 games between last year and this year at AA. He is 22 years old, and he is the 18th ranked prospect for the Brewers right now. He is another guy that depends on what happens with Jake Bauers and what happens with Andrew Vaughn. You could see him up here next year potentially at first base as well if it's not Fisher.
Well, and I wouldn't be surprised, especially with the number that you had to sign Andrew Vaughn at in arbitration this year, that $7 million point. It felt a little high despite getting a good second half of the season from him. It still felt like he hadn't earned that in his career. So I think that's something that the Brewers look at and say, hey, if we got this guy in our minor leagues that we have a lot of control over, and this player in Andrew Vaughn, who's valuable, but maybe at a little higher price point than we're willing to pay him moving forward here, he could be a really nice trade piece moving forward. Maybe not this trade deadline, but into the offseason if they do want to give him some kind of contract and then trade him there.
It's going to be fun to see, too, because you look at Blake Burke. We talked about this. Big body like Gary Sanchez, right? Big body dude. So that could be a situation where maybe Burke eventually ends up being a designated hitter for the Brewers, right? Post Christian Yelich, and he just fits in nicely in that designated hitter role. And then it's maybe Madej at third base. Shortstop is Cooper Pratt, Turang at second, and Fisher at first base with Cuero catching. And that's your infield. How's that sound to you, Charlie? Does that sound all right?
I'd be happier if it was William Contreras on a long-term contract instead of Cuero, if I'm being completely honest. But
yeah, if I'm being completely honest, I don't see how that's going to happen. And that doesn't even include Luis Peña, who essentially could be the replacement for Turang if they were to move on from Turang. But again, 3 more years of control for Turang after this season. So for at least the next 2 years after this season, he's here. And Luis Peña, I'm sure, is going to get slow paid as far as moving him up at this point. All right, so that was our kind of our minor league stuff. And don't forget, the leadoff show comes up tonight starting at 5 o'clock with a big old hunk of love. Tommy Wirtz tonight from 5 until 6:30. Then after the last pitch, you make the switch to the franchise Tim Allen and Tommy Wirtz for the Potawatomi Sportsbook Baseball postgame show tonight. That one will be on the air from 9:30 to 11 here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. All right, Charlie Usen, you came across something that I thought was very, very entertaining. It's something fun to do on a Friday heading into the weekend.
Yeah, so if we head on over to Twitter, this is from Kyle Corwin, who is host of the 3-0 Take, an MLB podcast. He's got about 21,000 followers on X. He says, unpopular opinion, major sports teams in the same city should adopt the same color scheme because it's objectively way better than not. And I wanted to ask folks, because I saw that, and I saw a lot of people kind of making some edits of Wisconsin teams, of other teams across other cities. And I wanted to ask you guys that same kind of question. Do you feel like that all Wisconsin teams should be under the same colorway? And if so, whose color scheme should they be under? I asked, should they follow the Brewers, Packers, Bucks? And I threw in the Badgers in there too, if you want to do red and white, because I think that could be pretty smooth. Which color scheme should all those teams follow if they were to take this advice from Kyle?
This is really tough. Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Get in the Dugout YouTube chat as well, or comment on X. We're there on Instagram. We're there on Facebook at WI Sports Radio. Again, if you haven't checked out our YouTube page recently, lots of different shorts up there you can check out, all kinds of videos of our live streams from our different shows. And again, it's just a fun place to go check out different expressions and so forth. Like when I was talking to Chuck Garbedian there in the last segment, I took a sip of this disgusting soda that I accidentally bought.
Yeah, you need to
probably
stop
had a pretty funny.
I
probably had a pretty funny face going at that point because of how bad it is.
There's nowhere else you can get a drink around there, so you don't have to drink your Peach Dr. Bibb.
Dude, I got back late from the bathroom. I don't want to go try and find somewhere to go buy a soda at this point. So no, we'll be fine. I can survive another hour and 45 minutes. Okay, Charlie. So I'll tell you this. If we're saying, okay, it's got to be, everybody's going to be the same color, and the basis of this is Pittsburgh. The Steelers have the same colors as the Pirates, and the Pirates have the same color as the Penguins. So all three of those teams are all rocking the exact same jersey colors, whether it be in the NFL, the NHL, or MLB. And what's being suggested is maybe this should become a thing around professional sports, where in Milwaukee/Wisconsin, that maybe it would be cooler if everybody kind of repped the same color scheme. And if that were the case, what would you want it to be in this state? Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250. I think the easy answer, probably a lot of people are going to say Green Bay and the Packers. I don't like green and gold, man. I mean, first of all, it reminds me of the Athletics immediately upon saying that, if we're talking about making that transition to baseball. So I don't really want to deal with that. The Badgers, red and white, that's like the Cincinnati Reds. So that, to me, in basketball, not so sure.
I like those, like the
either.
Memphis Grizzlies. They have those alternate uniforms that have the red like logo with the script, and it was like red and white. I like those. Those look pretty cool, and no other team really rocks that kind of colorway besides like the Heat, maybe.
Right. And then we have the Brewers, and the Brewers are more standard, right? Blue, white, yellow type deal. So if you go to basketball, that's like Golden State in the NBA. Then if you go to the NFL, I don't feel like there is that color blue in the NFL, right?
The Rams have that blue and yellow.
The Rams have that same blue and yellow, right?
Yeah.
So it would be like the Rams. I think the struggle for everybody is going to be, everybody can see the Brewers in a different color. Everybody can see the Bucks in a different color, but nobody's going to agree to ever change the Green Bay Packers from green and yellow. So I think as we're asking this question, most people are going to say, just leave it and have everybody be the Packers. That would be what I think is going to play out here. Scotty Tiffany on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250 says it would have to be a patchwork of all the colors, too steeped in history to just choose one.
That would be interesting. Maybe you could do it in like a Bob Uecker plaid jacket type of like look or something like that. Like, I don't know. I don't think I like that. I don't think I could do all the colors. I was trying to make it positive. I was trying to think about how I could make that work.
Like the closest I think I come up with would be the green and cream for the Bucks.
Yeah, I think when you
keep the green still for the Packers.
I think so, and I think when you look at the Packers green gold, I agree with you. I don't think it's a pretty color combo. I think it just has so much history behind it. Stop drinking the Peach Dr. Bibb.
I was coughing. I had to drink something. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, because it's so steeped in history, I guess it has a place in people's hearts. At the same time, I don't know, like I can't see the Brewers wearing that green and gold. I think that athletics jerseys and uniforms are ugly. I would never wear an athletics hat, and I love hats. I'll rock almost any hat. But that when I look at the Brewers, I get what you're saying about the blue and yellow kind of being common in Golden State and LA, and it's kind of the West Coast style colors. At the same time, I think you could make it work. And I think if you were to go maybe, again, more old school Brewers, the blue and gold more so than the blue and yellow that they have right now, I think that stands out a little bit more. And yes, it's the old St. Louis Rams look, sure, whatever. But I think you can make that work in Green Bay because then, like you said, with the Bucks colors, yeah, you still have the green. You would still have the gold in that type of look too for the Packers.
This morning on Inside Wisconsin Sports, Trevor and Josh were having the conversation about the new Brewers jerseys, right? The new City Connect jerseys. And somebody texted in, and Josh missed it. Somebody texted in and said, absolutely not. I'm not wearing anything that has blue and orange on it. And that was a shot at the Chicago Bears, I believe, is what he was getting at. And it went way over Josh's head. He never caught on to what he was saying. Or she. It's a text line, so you don't know if it's a boy or a girl. But that is something where I think you start crossing lines. And I would love to know the history in Pittsburgh as far as I'm assuming everybody just copied the Steelers colors, and that's how this all came about. Because they all didn't start, I don't believe, in the same era, right? I mean, the Steelers, I believe, were one of the ones back in the day, and then probably the Pirates, and then probably the Penguins, I think would be the order.
The NHL's Pirates sported black and gold uniforms to match the colors of the city flag and say seal. So before any of those leagues, when it was a
city colors,
and it was the NHL, so a hockey team was actually one started, and then became the Penguins, and then all the other teams adopted it. Then that's.
I didn't know cities had colors.
Well, like their flag and their seal. So like Milwaukee's flag has the blue and gold on it. Or it used to, I think they changed it. It used to be the sunset. So it matched kind of the Brewers colors. I don't know if that's what it was before because that was a more recent iteration of the flag. But yeah, they got colors, they got flags, they got seals, all of that. Wisconsin state flag is blue and has like the seal with the farmer on it and everything.
So I'm looking it up. So the official colors associated with the city of Green Bay, Wisconsin are the Packers green and gold, prominently featured on city bridges. See? Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
I did not know that either at all. I had no idea. All right, let's go to city of Wausau. Wausau, there's no single official set of colors for the city of Wausau. However, the region is well known for its vibrant autumn colors and scenic fall foliage. Used from areas like Granite Park. For municipal services, the city uses blue and yellow color codes. Okay, and then what else we want to do?
That's 2 for blue and yellow.
Let's see, Superior. Please don't be purple. Please.
It's purple and yellow.
No, please don't be. Come on. Here we go. They use different color palettes depending on the context of the branding. The city's got to be Superior Tourism Identity uses a retro color palette inspired by Superior's historic signs and buildings. The city's official website and communications typically feature a mix of blue, green, and white, reflecting its location on Lake Superior and its vast municipal forest. That works, Charlie.
Yeah.
That's green for the Packers. That's blue for the Brewers. And then white is kind of in the Badgers as well. Blue, green, and white. What if we just roll with Superior's colors?
I think we can make that work. Andy in Brookfield on the Nicolay Law Talk text line, again, 414-677-1250, says a little bit of each blue, green, and yellow instead of the white. You could go with all 3 of those. And then he says, or blue, green, and white, like you just said. And then Adam in the fall says the Packers wear blue and gold in their alternate jerseys. We win.
Yes.
Yay. LOL.
Yes, that's true. Blue and gold. Yes. You could do blue and gold with all of them. There is no blue and gold in the NBA or MLB, correct?
Not that I can think of. I mean,
I don't think so.
In the NBA, yeah. The closest would be the Pacers. The closest would be the Pacers. So you get it in Pacers territory.
Yellow, maybe. I mean, I'm thinking gold like Notre Dame gold.
Yeah. Like I said, the old Brewers gold, the old that navy blue and that gold color. I liked that a lot. I'd rock that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably what we're looking at here. All right, let's take a quick timeout. Come back on the other side. NCAA has some new eligibility rules. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. I want to get into talking about whether or not coaches should have rules put in place to essentially keep them where they are so they can't just get up and leave whenever they want to. That's coming up next. Hey, Wendy's really outdid themselves with these new biggie deals at $4, $6, and $8. The new biggie deals are bigger and bigger than ever. If you're feeling something snacky, you can get the $4 Biggie Bites. Feeling something medium, go get yourself a $6 Biggie Bag with Junior Bacon Cheeseburger. If you want to go full Biggie, you can get the $8 Biggie Bundle with your choice of 2 sandwiches, a small soft drink, and a junior fry. The choice is yours. For a pretty biggie deal, it's got to be Wendy's. And Wendy's, see, this is what I like. You go there, and you can pick additional flavors to add to your soda. You don't get tricked like I did getting some soda that I didn't want.
You just can't read. That's not getting tricked.
It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, out here at the Bike Expo sale, brought to you by Wheel and Sprocket State Fair Park at the Expo building, going on all weekend long through Sunday. Take your pick from over 2,000 bikes of all kinds on sale, including hundreds of used bikes and electric bikes. Shop thousands of accessories, blowout items, parts, apparel, and more, plus test ride an e-bike on their indoor test track. Be a part of the excitement all weekend long. Welcome back. Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you out here at the Bike Expo sale brought to you by Wheel and Sprocket State Fair Park. Inside the Expo building, come in on the west side. Free admission. That's right. I said it. Free admission today, tomorrow, and Sunday. Come take advantage. And we're talking about thousands of bikes. Over 2,000 bikes of all kinds are on sale, including hundreds of used bikes and electric bikes. Shop thousands of accessories, blowout items, parts, apparel, and more, plus test ride an e-bike on their indoor test track. Be a part of the excitement for certain. So in the break, update on the soda issue. I couldn't do it. And thank God for my guy Will over here in promotions. He's like, hey, Spark, he's like, you walk right past the helmets and go left. There's a little concession stand tucked in the middle of the floor in this gigantic room. I was like, okay, fine. I'll go check it out. So I walked over there. It's double the price of the soda that I bought at the gas station, but
understandable.
I got a Sprite.
There
It's
you
normal.
go.
No peach flavoring. It's just normal Sprite.
Did you double check? Did you ask him? You say, hey, this has got peach in
I
it?
told her the whole story. She said, I promise you this is not peach flavored or any other flavor. So I do appreciate it. No trying to trick me like
no more stink faces.
Oh my gosh.
Until you run out of Sprite.
It's so bad. It tastes like cough syrup to me. And I know it's not cough syrup, but and I know like there's people that like peach flavor, like Mitch Thunder and Ellis. I'm not one of them. Update on the Masters. Rory McIlroy now through 9, still sitting at 7 under. Patrick Reed on the move. He's now at 6 under through 12 for the tournament, 3 under for the day. And then Justin Rose is tied for third with Christopher. I have no idea. Wrighton, maybe is how you say his name. Sorry, not a big golf guy. So that's your update on the Masters leaderboard. Hey, I tried.
You did.
I wasn't convinced I was going to do this the whole show, but I was like, well, I'll do it.
I've been learning so much over the past couple of days about golf because, like I said, with Chuck, it was my break
Garbedian
into
on golf.
Yeah, exactly.
Saturday morning, 7 to 9. Charlie is there. Yeah.
So I've been learning a lot. So I wanted to watch this Masters. I came in not having favorites, but now I do. I like Justin Rose. I like Max Homa. Both of them are fun to watch. So I've been kind of paying attention to them more. I learned what all the little numbers mean.
Explain something to me.
Yeah, what's up?
Hold on a second. What is happening on this show? What do you mean they're fun to watch?
I don't
know. They swing a club. They hit a ball. What do you mean they're fun? That's the thing. Hold on. Let me just explain to you something. I enjoy playing golf. I hardly ever play. I don't have time. I've got whatever. So I never get to go out and play. Not that I'm very good, but I don't ever get a chance to go out and play. Watching golf?
Well,
no. I mean, I'll watch it for a little bit. But people that sit on their couch and watch 5 hours of golf, no.
I'm not doing
never, that. Ever, never happening. So, but again, going back to how, if we're talking about an individual in an individual sport, so bowling, tennis, whatever, for me, over the course of time, it's the personality, right? So I'm going to be old guy. Jimmy Connors in tennis years ago playing against Patrick McEnroe. I love Patrick McEnroe because he was a nut job. And then Jimmy Connors became a favorite too because he was really old, got really hot in the U.S. Open, and my dad was a big Jimmy Connors fan. Okay, so I started rooting for him too. Bowling back in the day, Marshall Holman and Mark Roth. Love Marshall Holman. Why? Hothead. Loved him because I was a hothead when I bowled too. So that's why I get down. But it wasn't, I like how he threw a bowling ball. I mean, nowadays you have that because you have these two-handers, so these kids get wrapped up in two-handed bowling. But no, but golf, there's nobody doing weird things with a golf club, is there?
Too, though. It's like Chuck was talking about. Part of it is watching the interviews and some of that stuff. I've been paying attention closer to that. The way they talk, Justin Rose, he brought it up why he thinks he's one of his favorites right now and was his favorite going into it was just the way that he was presenting himself in the interviews and watching them play. Some guys just hit better. I don't know how to explain it. Just watching it, I've learned to like some guys more than other guys.
Really?
I'm not saying that I dislike guys. And I guess I was kind of predisposed with Rory McIlroy going into this that I kind of decided I didn't really like him that much just based off of what I've heard and seen from him in the past.
Sure.
But at the same time, I'm learning about guys that I didn't really know about. It's Justin Rose was the name that's popped in my head before. Max Homa's popped around before, but I never really sat down and watched him play. And I think I like watching him play.
Patrick Reed is a guy that has rubbed people the wrong way over the course of the time. And my guy, Leroy Butler, loves Patrick Reed. That's always been one of his guys. Dustin Johnson, that's another guy that he's kind of always rooted for. I've never really gotten down with it. Like the last time I really like got down with, man, I really like somebody was probably Lee Trevino. That was probably the last guy. And Trevino was done playing. He was like just messing around with the other old dudes, like with Jack and Chichi Rodriguez and those guys. And I got to get down with them because they were all mic'd when they play with each other at the end. So you could hear all the banter and the trash talking and making jokes, and that became fun. But I didn't get to see them in their prime like we're seeing these guys in their prime. And they're never going to do it. But they should mic these dudes up on Sundays, man.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Not? They should all be mic'd up on Sundays so you could hear everything. It's not like you have a rival coach that's going to be like, Rory, Patrick Reed, he's gonna play an 8-iron here. He thinks like that's not gonna happen. Nobody's gonna be talking into Patrick Reed's ear, telling him what McElroy is doing on the hole in front of him down the line. Like, I don't know. But to me, I think if you have that friendly banter, if you have that dialogue between the caddy and the golfer, that people can hear the conversation and hear the caddy go, "You should do this," and the golfer goes, "Nope, I'm not," and then does something else, and then it doesn't work and it backfires. Now what happens? Now the media is like, "Hey, man, you regret that decision because we heard your caddy, Joe, tell you to use the other club." Now you bring the drama. Now there's more conversation. Now you get to learn really who are the good caddies who are right more often than not. And you can hear the relationship between the two guys. Are they jabbing? Are they poking? Are they having fun? Are they talking about other golfers? Like that brings kind of that reality TV factor to it. Then I think you can start talking about growing brands of guys.
Well, and they do that in the ESPN league that Tiger Woods was a part of starting.
That doesn't count. TGL or whatever it's called.
It's like in the simulator, the giant simulator room. Yeah. And they have those guys mic'd up, but it's also more of a team sport in that one, or where it's three guys
and
that are playing.
It's not all that serious if we're being honest.
No, they're having fun with it. They had some fun moments a part of it. Like the highlights that I saw, I didn't really watch a full match or anything.
I have. When it started, we started watching it to see whether or not we were going to get into it. So we all watched a couple of episodes, and then I tuned out and I never went back to it. But I'll see it flipping around and watching it. And with indoor simulator golf, as popular as it's fun.
I've done it before, yeah.
There's a place where I live, not been there. There's a place where I live where it's you come and go as you want. Like you have your own key card or whatever, and then you have to reserve time. So they then have to set it to unlock it to let you in. And then you do your round or whatever your practice, and then you leave. And it flat out says for serious golfers, like this is not to bring your kids to, this is not to come have beers at, this is in the wintertime to come get some work in and practice and whatever else and do that type of stuff. But Charlie, what separates it is it's open 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
So if you work third shift or whatever the case may be, you can go rolling in there at 7:30 in the morning and go get shots. If you work second shift, you want to go hit golf balls at 2 in the morning, you can go hit golf balls at 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning. I don't believe there's a lot of those places around the state of Wisconsin, but I think it's a pretty cool feature if you live in a big enough city to where you have enough people that would utilize it like that, and they're not staffed. So you just go.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The one that I've been to is not like that. It's basically a bar with a bunch of simulators in it.
Yeah,
and me and my friends get a couple free John Dailies by the end of the night when we're there. So it's usually a pretty good time. So it's not as serious as that. That's cool that they have one that's built for that, though.
Yeah, I had no idea. And I came across, I'm like, what is that? I'm looking at the sign. So if you know me, I Google everything I see of a sign. I'm always thinking about, I wonder if they could advertise with the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. I wonder how this would work. So I'm always Googling or having, hey, Google while I'm driving. Hey, Google that, see what that is. Or see somebody on a truck. Hey, Google that, see what that is. So when she Googled it and she's reading it to me, I'm like, what? I'm like, let me see. And I looked at it, I was like, wow, that's actually pretty cool. But no, sorry. We completely got sidetracked. So there goes that topic. Charlie, Sounds of the Day is coming up next. Don't forget Potawatomi Sportsbook. You want to go watch this golf tournament, right? Today, tomorrow, Sunday, they got the golf tournament on 2,000 square foot center screen. Over 30 sporting events at one time, I tell you. At one time. So you can have baseball on one screen. You can have basketball games on another screen. You can have hockey games on another screen. Plus, Will, UFC Fight Nights tomorrow night. Tomorrow night. See, my guy Will, UFC Fight Guy over here. UFC Fight Night tomorrow night at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. They like to turn up the volume real nice and loud and have a good time. Always tell you, reserve your seat ahead of time because that place gets busy. 2 levels of seating, lots and lots of seats, but lots and lots of people love going there because it's the best place in the Midwest to go watch any sporting event that you're not going to. So, again, go to Potawatomi.com for that. And if you're going to the Brewers game, and you're trying to figure out, I don't really want to pay all that money for parking, no problem. They got shuttles to and from the games over there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook as well, the Potawatomi Casino Hotel. You got to make a purchase inside the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Tell them you want to use their shuttle. They give you a bracelet to get you on and off, and you're done. Free parking inside the garage at the Potawatomi Sportsbook covered. So if you're getting rain or hailstorms or anything like that while you're inside, you don't got to worry about coming out to damaged cars because it's covered up. So check it out today. Again, Potawatomi.com. Charlie Sounds today next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook out here at the Bike Expo sale, brought to you by Wheel and Sprocket at the Expo building here at Wisconsin State Fair Park.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
We are changing gears. I know we had teased that we were going to get to Charlie Sounds today. However, the Packers have made a trade. The Green Bay Packers have made a trade. Dontavian Wicks has been traded to the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for a fifth-round pick this year in 26 and a sixth-round pick in 2027. Wicks will sign a one-year, $12.5 million extension with the Eagles per his agent, David Milgada, who represents everybody. Michael Parsons, Jordan Love, and now Dontavian Wicks is out of Green Bay and is now a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. So again, Packers trade Dontavian Wicks to the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for a fifth-round pick in 2026 and a sixth-round pick in 2027. Your thoughts, Charlie Usen?
I think this was a good deal for the Packers to get 2 picks out of Dontavian Wicks, your number 4 wide receiver, a guy that was basically phased out of the lineup with injury and then just not playing well towards the end of the season. Didn't really make sense to keep him around. And then the other thing for the Packers that it kind of sparks in my mind is that they're planning on giving Christian Watson this extension that we've been talking about. And if you're clearing up room in your wide receiver group there, in order to make sure that you have as much money possible directed towards the wide receiver room going to that guy, I think that's what that says to me. And then from the Eagles' point of view, what this tells me is that A.J. Brown may not be as safe this offseason as some of these Eagles personnel guys have been saying, and it's more leaning towards what the reporters have been saying about the A.J. Brown situation, that it seems like it's kind of breaking down between him and the Eagles. That's a lot of money to give to Dontavian Wicks if you still are planning on paying A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith this season.
I don't want to pay Dontavian Wicks $12.5 million. So if Philadelphia wants to pay him $12.5 million, Godspeed. I hope it all works out for y'all and it works out well. What this tells me is they're drafting a wide receiver in the second or the third round. They're going back to the well at wide receiver to put him with Matthew. Absolutely. Listen to me. This is what they have currently. Watson, Reed, Golden. Those are your top 3.
Right.
Then it's Will Shepard, Savion Williams, Sky Moore, Bo Melton, Isaiah Nair. That's it.
Yeah,
they have 3 dudes.
5th round guy to fill in that group. I mean,
No.
you have so many other needs at the top of this draft. Second or third round to go for a wide receiver would kind of be dumb, in my opinion. That would kind of ruin this.
I was just reading it earlier today. ESPN had this big piece out about things that guys are hearing and so forth with people moving up draft boards, down better draft boards, what teams are thinking, all of this. One of the things that was pointed out in this piece on ESPN today was the fact that it seems like wide receivers are falling down the draft board, or that there aren't going to be as many receivers going in the first round. Then you may see some guys that maybe you were expecting to see a month ago in the first round fall back to the second round. If they believe there is pretty quality depth there at that wide receiver position where they can get a good one at 52, or they can still get a good one in the third round. Say what you want about the Packers. Packers have made a living drafting wide receivers in the second round that turn into be Pro Bowl players and really damn good wide receivers at this point. And what were we just talking about yesterday with Chad Ryder when he was on? We're talking about Lance, that wide receiver from North Dakota State, whose position coach is now the wide receivers coach for the Green Bay Packers. And again, who I'm sure knows Christian Watson just fine. So if this guy is somebody they think they can get in the third round and they're going to do it that way and do something differently there in the second round, that works. The other thing that you will read on that ESPN piece, if you go look at it, defensive tackles, they're saying there's a chance there may not be one taken in the first round of this year's draft. So if that's the case, now you have defensive tackles. You might get a real nice one to you at 52. You can come back and get a receiver in the third round, or vice versa. Take the receiver that you want at 52 and come back and get a nice defensive tackle that, you know, maybe nobody was expecting to be there. They're in the third round. I don't dislike this deal. I'm fine with it. Again, a 5 and a 6. Packers have done well on day 3 of the NFL draft over the course of time with Goody as general manager, so it doesn't bother me. Wicks and Reed just 2 years ago were the 2 worst receivers in football when it comes to overall performance. So I don't. It doesn't bother me at all that David Wicks has gone. Do I think he's got a lot of upside? Yes. Do I think he's very talented? Yes. But as Charlie pointed out, you can only pay so many guys. So Romeo Dobbs is gone. Wicks is gone. So this is either Brian Gutekunst going, okay, all of these dudes we've had, and we haven't had a true one. We now have determined we have to find a true one. So Davian Wicks traded to the Eagles today. Dobbs is gone in free agency. And now your top three, again, are Watson, Reed, and Golden. They're going to draft a receiver, I'm telling you, in day 2 of this draft coming up on April 24th. It's going to go down. They're going to get another receiver.
I don't know. I think it's defensive tackle with that second pick. I think you have to, in the 3rd round, yes, wide receiver you can maybe look at, but when you need a little help in the depth of the interior offensive line, at tackle now at this point, at cornerback, when you could even maybe go running back over wide receiver at this point in the 3rd round. Like, I'd accept all of those before, honestly, wide receiver, because you name 3 guys, and then you're going to get Tucker Kraft at some point back in this season, and he is a receiving threat too. That's 4 guys in the receiving room. Yes, you need depth, but you can find veteran guys that can fill that depth for cheap.
This is the one thing I firmly believe. History repeats itself. And the one thing we know about the Green Bay Packers that every single freaking year you can depend on is injuries. Every year they get hurt. They are not going to want to go into this year with 3 reliable wide receivers only. You trade Davian Wicks today for a 5 this year and a 6 in 27. The Eagles give them $12.5 million on a 1-year extension to get this deal done with David Mulgada, which is fine. Again, good luck to you in Philadelphia. But from the Packers standpoint, they have to get somebody. Now, the trading or the going and drafting a wide receiver, maybe that doesn't happen. You know the name that's been floated out there as a match for Green Bay potentially in a trade?
What's that?
But I don't think the Packers have the assets to make it work. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a guy that I've seen floated out there as a potential guy. So now, if that were to happen, Marvin Harrison Jr., Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, well, that changes everything. Now you've completely upgraded that receiving core. And I know he wasn't all that great with Kyler Murray. With all due respect, Kyler Murray wasn't all that great either, right? So maybe Harrison Jr. with this coaching staff, with this group, maybe that becomes something. But again, if you're the Cardinals, you're not trading him for anything less than a 1 probably, right?
He's still too
Packers
young.
don't have a 1. They don't have a 1 this year. They don't have a 1 next year. So now you're talking about having to trade a player in order to try and make that work. And where are you deep enough to trade you're something just clicked at Charlie's head. It was like a light bulb went on. His eyes got bigger.
You're not deep
I got
at
an
the
answer.
position, but if you are going to draft this position in the 2nd round, Devontae Wyatt is that type of player that you could potentially move. The Cardinals are going to have a lot of money. He could be a centerpiece for that defensive line. I think that's the spot you could go and look at and make a trade.
Yeah, maybe that's what. And the other thing about this is, who's the head coach of the Cardinals? Mike LaFleur.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other thing where maybe you could make a little package deal here in order to get something done. Because I would assume Mike LaFleur knows the Packers roster pretty well too.
I would assume so. Looking at some free agent wide receivers instead of drafting, I mean, you could give Curtis Samuel $1.7 million. I think that'd be the same as a 3rd round wide receiver. I think Noah Brown, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, Jahan Dotson, even Josh Reynolds, Tim Patrick, Zay Jones. Those are all players that are available free agents that I think give you the same as a 3rd round pick, and you wouldn't have to spend a 3rd round pick on a position that, again, you already have 3 starters at.
I love it. So we got this person on text 920. Charlie isn't a Packer fan, but he makes more sense than Sparky talking about the Packers. Yeah, well, okay, fair enough. I'm assuming that has to do with the Packers drafting a wide receiver on day 2. So when it happens, you can just text back in 920 and be like, dude, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I should never have doubted you, Sparky. I should just always listen to what you say, and my life would be better going forward if I just listened to Sparky. I'm joking.
Everybody said that? I was going to say, has anybody ever said that?
Never. Nobody in my family's ever said it. I know that. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We're out here. The Bike Expo sale brought to you by Wheel and Sprocket. Today, tomorrow, and Sunday, take your pick from over 2,000 bikes of all kinds on sale, including hundreds of used bikes and electric bikes. Shop thousands of accessories, blowout items, parts, apparel, and more. Let's test ride an e-bike on our indoor test track here. Be a part of the excitement today. Coming up, we'll get to Charlie Sounds of the Day next. Plead the Fifth, brought to you by Havish Rotier at 420.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
We are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Charlie Usen back in the studios in beautiful Hales Corners, Wisconsin, doing his thing. Thanks for listening to the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network today, whether you be listening to 710 The Game in the Duluth Superior area, or if you're listening to 99.7 FM WNFL in Green Bay and Appleton, or maybe you're listening in Wausau to 93.9 The Game, or in the Milwaukee, southeastern Wisconsin portion of the state to 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. The news of the day, Dontavian Wicks for the Green Bay Packers traded to the Philadelphia Eagles today. The Packers get a 5th-round pick this year for Dontavian Wicks, and the Packers also get a 6th-round pick in 2027 for Dontavian Wicks. So now we'll be seeing Dontavian Wicks in green still, but Dontavian Wicks will now be in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform starting next season, which then leads to the question of how do they replace Dontavian Wicks in the wide receiving corps? And that is what Charlie Usen and I were talking about there in the last segment. Still to come, plead the 5th, brought to you by Habish and Rotier. Comes up on the next segment. Then it's Follow the Money with our guy Austin Herdenia coming up at about 4:40 or so from the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Time now for Charlie's Sounds of the Day.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, Charlie, usually normally we do this at 3:40, but since we had the Dontavian Wicks news breaking at that time, or right before that time, we flip-flop the Green and Gold Update brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook and Charlie's Sounds of the Day. Charlie, what you got?
All right, first up here, since we're talking about the Packers in the draft, I wanted to head on over to the Mina Kimes show where she had Field Yates on, and they were discussing what the Packers should do with their 2nd-round pick. This is what Field Yates suggested.
Which do you think the Packers are more likely to address in the 2nd round, offensive line or defensive line?
Yeah, Mina, I'm going to go with the defensive line. And worth noting that Micah Parsons' status for the beginning of this upcoming season remains in some level of doubt, but the Packers have never been a team that is drafted just for their most immediate needs. But I think looking ahead in this new scheme under Jonathan Gannon, the defensive line is one to address. And I'll give you a name that I think could be in the right range at 52 overall, which is, as you see in the bottom of the page, the Packers, at least for now, first scheduled pick in the upcoming draft. Lee Hunter, nose tackle from Texas Tech, who really had a breakout season this past year and was at his best against Oregon in their playoff game this past season. Huge, huge player, but he has more explosiveness than his athletic testing suggested at the combine. He was a bit of an inconsistent player, and my overall ranking will be a little bit lower than 52 overall, Mina, but I think it's the right range for potential 3-4 nose tackle.
I love Lee Hunter. Like, we had Chad Ryder on yesterday. We were looking at his mock draft from NFL.com. He doesn't even come close. He's like 10 picks before the Packers. But again, if you listen to ESPN, they think there's going to be a slide on the defensive tackle position. And the Packers could end up with either Lee Hunter or somebody else that's really, really good. And the other question is, if you have a defensive tackle that's big and wide and gigantic, but is not a pass rusher and is only there to, stand up 2 or 3 guys in the middle of the line and let the linebackers work, how early of a pick do you waste or take on that guy in the NFL draft? Is it worth taking that guy in the 2nd round if that's all he does? Or do you wait to day 3 and then take somebody similar that does that? Do you have to have that pass rush ability if you're taking somebody in the 2nd round that plays that nose tackle position, Charlie?
I think so. And I think that when you compare Lee Hunter to maybe a guy like Jalen Carter in the past few drafts who had these same kind of concerns where he's a very explosive for how big he is, but at the same time he was taking plays off. There was questions about how hard he was willing to work. It's the same kind of questions for Lee Hunter. The problem is that Jalen Carter was also the best defensive player in the country when he was playing. And when you are Lee Hunter on a Texas Tech defense where it's just loaded with other defensive talent around you and you aren't standing out as that number one guy, it can be a little bit of a concern, especially if you're not rushing the passer. At the same time, if the Packers are to keep Devontae Wyatt, he can be a little bit better of a pass rusher. You would hope that Javon Hargrave can kind of get back some of that stuff he had 3 years ago when he wasn't an effective pass rusher. So if you put this guy in that group, he fits in well with those two guys, and hopefully the combination of the three of them could produce sacks in the pass game.
They definitely have to draft a defensive tackle. I mean, there's no question about that. Now, whether they take him on day 2 or they take him on day 3, I think you could say they could take 2 defensive tackles, providing they're big, wider bodies. Like, Brooks is nice, but he's not the size that you want necessarily at this point. Wooden was nice, but again, not the size necessarily that you want at this point. You want a bigger guy, and we'll see if the Packers are able to figure that out here coming up in the draft. We're literally only a couple of weeks away, and the 23rd is round 1 of the NFL draft, and then that's a Thursday night. Can't imagine the Packers get from 52 into the first round. And then second and third rounds are on that Friday night, and then rounds 4 through 7 on day 3 of the draft. All right, Charlie, where to next on Charlie Sounds of the Day?
Next up, we're going to head on over to the Dan Patrick Show, where Danny Hurley was on there discussing the advice he was giving to Braylon Mullins, the guy who hit the super clutch shot in the Final Four to help get them to the national championship, and other college players in the current landscape of the transfer portal and NIL.
I think with what I'll tell Braylon and I'll tell his family is, number one, do you like college? Do you like college? I mean, some players are in a rush to get to the NBA because they don't like being a college student. They don't like being in a college program. So I think that's because college programs are run way differently than NBA teams in terms of how we practice and just in how kind of rigorous study hall and going to class, and then the coach being in charge of the whole operation. So I mean, it's do you like college? And I think that the world has changed. There's not this this pressure to go to the NBA now because of the money situation. Players like Braylon are probably he'd probably make more money at UConn next year than he would if he was the 15th pick. So those are the things that you have to weigh. How badly do I want to get out of college and get to the NBA?
That's exactly right. And that's the crazy part about when you start talking about these guys, whether they want to come out or make more money in college, because the money is so outlandish right now that if you're at the bottom of the lottery or second half of the first round, you could very well make more your first year than you would if you were a first-round NBA draft pick. So now it's, I want to party with all these college girls still? Do I want to have a bunch of parties and do my thing? Or do I want to go work a real job? And I know, real job, it's basketball. Stop. It's not like they're laying bricks or something. Okay, fine, fair, agreed. But it's not the same lifestyle in the pros as it is in college. It's a lot more laid back and chilled. And he can tell me all you want about, study halls and studying.
Come on, dude.
As we talked about yesterday, there hasn't been a star player academically ineligible. I couldn't tell you in how many years. So if you're that good, that's not happening. Like, they'll figure it out to make sure you're academically eligible to get you through another year if you want to come back and play college basketball at that point, Charlie.
Especially if they have $1 million on you. Like, come on. They have to make sure that
you're
investment is going through.
$4, $5, $6 million we're talking about. Right. If he's comparing this kid to being a potential 15th pick in the first round of an NBA draft.
You got to protect your investment. And I know that, again, these guys aren't going to class as often as they probably should or paying attention in class. But also at the same time, I think you got to keep that appearance up at least. And if you don't do that, if you just allow them to be employees of the university essentially and not have to go to class, in my mind, that would mean the end of this partnership between colleges and the NCAA. And the NCAA would just become a developmental league that would be using those facilities, and the colleges could be renting them out to that. But if you're going to be a part of the university, if you're going to have these rules about only staying 5 years in the college landscape and not letting them take these 8th years that some of these guys are taking, then you also have to keep treating these players like students, even if that means getting them through these super easy majors. And it's not rigorous. These guys are getting through super easy schedules. At the same time, you have to do that. And there's something to being forced to do it at least once a week that some of these guys, like you talk about, the lifestyles that they've built for themselves are just not wanting to come down to. They would rather just have the NBA lifestyle and play basketball and have fun with that same kind of money, even if it's not that much more or even less than the college money.
I don't know, man. Being king of the campus, I mean, UConn football, it's okay. Being the guy on the UConn basketball team, or being the king of the campus at Marquette.
Braylon Mullins hasn't paid for a single drink at any bar since he hit that shot. 100%.
Right. Agreed. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you can go do that, or you can go play in the NBA and be 6th, 7th guy, on the roster or whatever the case may be. And there is not going to be that, oh my God, it's Braylon. No. Oh yeah, nice shot, kid. All right, now let's see what you can do in practice, right? And you're getting elbowed and everything else. And life all of a sudden is different. And at some point, I'm sure some of these college kids are like, damn, man, I should have stayed another year, man. I was having a lot of dang fun. Why did I decide to come do this? I could have pushed this back a year and went pro. Now, if there's a situation of my stock may drop if I stay another year, I may blow out my knee if I stay another year, right? If that starts getting into your mind, then obviously I understand if that's something you're worried about. But when you're that good, Charlie, I don't think you think like that.
No, probably not. And I think that while, yes, you could be the king of the campus, you could also go hang out with LeBron James if you get drafted by the Lakers, and you could go out to a bar, drink wine, or have this lavish lifestyle with LeBron, hang out with him. You could be in an upper echelon. And I think, yes, maybe not in your exact town, but across the country, they know you more as a sixth man.
Do you think he's hanging out with dudes that are getting drafted?
You never know. I think he at least has to take him out to dinner once.
I mean, it's the same with Giannis and these other guys. Like, I highly doubt they're rolling with these guys off the court. Giannis has family and kids to go home to and stuff like that. He ain't going.
Yeah, but he can invite these guys over to his house for a dinner, watch some film or something.
No way. No chance. It's not happening. No way. No chance. That's nice thinking, but I don't believe you. All right, what else you got?
And last up here, we're going to head back on over to Run It Back, but Sam Amick was on the show this time, and he was discussing the Celtics possibly trading for Giannis.
Michelle, you got good instincts. Like, I wrote that thing, and listen, we pick and choose when you decide to share stuff that you've heard, and that's a tricky one because, like, how realistic is it? Well, right now they're feeling great about what they're doing. Historically, they are a group that you could argue they pursue every superstar who's available. That's just kind of how their front office is wired, with Brad Stevens leading the way. And then so you look at it and go, wait a minute, they're winning games. Why would they even consider this? Well, like, that's just the league. And so I think it's a matter of how do the playoffs go? Because you're obviously correct that one of the Jays would have to go. And I think, even some of this interest in the past has been born out of the fact, like, they didn't know that Jaylen Brown was going to, level up like he has and have the kind of year that he has. So, we got to see how the postseason goes. If they're raising the trophy again, then obviously this noise, however much noise there is going to completely go away. If they get bounced in the second round, then like any other team in that spot, they're going to look at the landscape.
No chance they break them up. No way. I mean, I understand they played well over their head this year, and Mazzulla's a hell of a coach for the Celtics. I get all that. But why would you try to break those two guys up for? They're not that old. Like,
and they won a championship already.
Yes. You can continue to play these guys. You don't have a broken down Chris Middleton as one of them. I know Tatum's coming off injury and so forth, but he's not in Middleton shape. So I don't, me personally, I wouldn't do it. Now, as a Bucks fan, I'd love to see him break it up. Sure, go ahead. Go ahead and do that. Tell you what, you could have Giannis. We'll take Tatum. Mm-hmm. We'll make that deal. I'll do that deal right
still
now.
Relatively young. Yeah, that would be that would be one of the only stars that I think I'd be happy with some kind of trade for Giannis. Yeah, because I don't think there's another young star that's out there that is worth that type of value. Like, you could maybe say like Devin Booker if the Suns wanted to make that move, but even Devin Booker to some degree, I'm not as sold on as it's Jason Tatum. That's it. Like, I don't think there's any other player. John Morant, no. I don't look at Donovan Mitchell that way. Like, none of these players are worth that besides Jason Tatum, and the Timberwolves aren't giving up Anthony Edwards. That would be maybe the other guy, but that's not happening.
No, that's not happening either. No chance. Now, Anthony Edwards is probably stopping in Minnesota to get Giannis to Minnesota. but he's not coming back the other way. I totally agree with you on that. Hey, we got to get to Plead the Fifth, brought to you by Habish, and Rotier. That comes up next. Every Friday at 4:20, we plead the fifth. And then at 4:40, follow the money with Austin Herdina of the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Plus, we also have to do, in case you missed it, brought to you by the Milwaukee Admirals. Before we do that, Charlie, I'm going to use our X and YouTube live stream here at WI Sports Radio. Plus, we're on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. I want to show you a picture here on the screen. I don't know if you saw this. The White Sox announced that coming up August 11th, they're going to be handing out Pope hats to the White Sox game because, as we know, the Pope is a White Sox fan. These are the hats right there. That's what it looks like.
That's
right
pretty
there.
sick. That's
so you'd
sick.
want one. You'd wear that, or you would just leave it in a bag and put it away.
I would wear it. Like if I went to like a Sox game, I'm not a Sox fan, but that's awesome.
Right.
My sister, like I mentioned before, I'm officiating her wedding in October in a few months. She wants me to like go dress up, go like kind of all out, go goofy with that. I don't know if you've like it. She wants me to wear like a Pope hat. Like is what she's saying to do this. You haven't met my sister yet. That's completely up her alley. That's exactly
my answer
what
to that would be absolutely not.
I would say hell yeah. That's what I said. So if I could find a Pope hat, and if I could go to a White Sox game where nobody wants to go to those games,
I got you.
Get a Pope hat.
I got a guy. I got it.
You know the Pope?
Absolutely. I have him in my phone. I can text him. He was at Broad Bowl.
I do remember. Yeah.
He was at Broad Bowl, and he's a big White Sox fan, and he was dressed up as the Pope at Broad Bowl at the Broad Sox.
I do remember that.
So I know I can get you the hat. He's got the other stuff. I don't know if you guys are the same size. Maybe that might be close.
The hat,
but
sure.
he's got the full whole get up. Then I'm sure he'd probably be.
Or if he's planning on going to that White Sox game. I'd pay
I
him
guarantee
$20
you
for the
he's
hat.
going to that White Sox.
I'd pay him $25 for the hat. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, but I mean, he's got like the full Pope get up, the whole deal that you could probably. He wore it all. He was walking around and taking pictures with people at Broad Stop. Man,
because you said that at first, I was like, oh wait, the Pope guy from Broad Bowl.
Yeah, he's crazy. Good fantasy football player, though. He's a Rams fan, though, in football. That's a little weird. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. Coming up, we'll get to Plead the Fifth. Do not forget, did you know that youth sports players can score a free small Frosty Classic anytime they visit Wendy's in their sports uniforms? That's right. Just stop by after practice or with your team after a game. Who doesn't love a Frosty? And the Bucks only got a couple games left, so only a couple chances left. There is no playoffs. When the Bucks win, you win at Wendy's. After every Bucks win, stop by any participating Wisconsin Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate Frosty Classic. No purchase necessary. This offer is only good for 24 hours after a win, so act fast and get that free small Frosty Classic at Wendy's. You realize they could have done a promotion with Wendy's that said, if the Bucks are within 10 and a loss, we'll give you a Frosty, and there still wouldn't have been any Frosties given out in this entire run.
This is
you realize that?
Do you remember like 2 months ago, you were asking me if I was ready to do the Milwaukee basketball postgame show again?
Yep.
Because we were a little hopeful, like right after the trade deadline.
Yeah, they were playing great in February.
And then now this. Now it's just sad and depressed.
But there will be more excitement about that Bucks draft at the end of June than there is about this Packers draft. Because first, forget that part of it. Go to the middle of May. We're only about a month away from this draft lottery. We'll probably do a draft lottery show, I'm thinking, here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network to react to whatever the Bucks end up with in the draft lottery and so forth. That'd be like an hour show, whatever it is. But we'll probably do something. And then obviously we'll have to have a draft show if they're drafting in the top 10, top 11, somewhere in that area.
You think Giannis is going to present the draft pick? He's going to be the guy at the draft lottery?
They should.
They should.
Yes. That's a great idea.
I think we can make that work.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or, no, his kids aren't old enough. I was going to say, or send one of his kids, but
send Alex or Thanasis up there. Like, bribe his brothers to get him to do it.
No, we've given them enough. No more for them. No more. No. Giannis, I'm fine with Giannis. You want to send Giannis? Send Giannis's mom?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
All right.
Yeah. Send Giannis's mom to represent the Bucks at the lottery.
We'll make some
I'd be fine with that, too.
We'll make some.
I mean, don't you think she'd say yes?
Yeah,
don't you think you'd be like, oh, that's so cool?
Well, unless maybe for some reason she doesn't want Giannis to be like I feel like if she were to do it, that's like, oh, Giannis, you got to stay in Milwaukee, right? Like it's kind of blackmail. Maybe she wouldn't want to be a part of the blackmail to keep Giannis in Milwaukee.
There's no way I don't care what team it is. If some team asks me to go represent them in the lottery, I'm there.
Any team?
To be in the room to see how the whole thing works.
Even if it was
one time,
even if the Pacers said, Sparky, we want you to come be our presenter.
Sure. Just keep me away from Halliburton. Nah, totally fine. As long as I got to see him, talk to him, deal with him.
No, it would be
good.
you and TJ McConnell.
No, there's only one player. There's only one person in the lottery room. That's another one I don't want to be talking to is McConnell. That there's two guys, you're right, with that team that I want to be dealing with. Coming up next, Plead the Fifth, brought to you by Hamish and Rotier. Straight ahead is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We're out here at the Bike Expo sale, brought to you by Wheel and Sprocket, Wisconsin State Park, inside the Expo building. Free admission for the nation's largest bike sale. Take your pick from over 2,000 bikes of all kinds on sale, including hundreds of used bikes and electric bikes. Shop thousands of accessories, blowout items, parts, apparel, and more. Plus, test ride an e-bike on their indoor test track right here at the Expo building. Be a part of the excitement all weekend long. Today, tomorrow, and Sunday, the Bike Expo sale brought to you by Wheel and Sprocket. wonder what Jordan Love is thinking right now about Dontavian Wicks getting traded for a 5th-round pick this year and a 6th-round pick next year in 2027. I've been seeing here in the break all this reaction to what's going on with the different deals with this Packers trade, I should say, with Dontavian Wicks. But the one thing that's been pointed out by Tom Silverstein is they pick up $2.6 million in cap space with the Wicks trade. So he counts $75,637 in dead money, which is nothing. Packers now $26 million under the cap. Now they should have 8 draft picks this year and should have 10 next year, including 3 fourths, 2 fifths, and 3 sixths next year. So it got me to thinking, like, I wonder if they would attempt to package picks next year with their second this year to try to bounce up into the first round to potentially go get somebody. Up until this point, I really haven't thought about it, even though they still had the capital prior to this trade. This trade doesn't necessarily change your mind on that. But knowing how much draft capital they have in 27, you wonder whether or not they may attempt that.
They could. I wouldn't be surprised. At the same time, I kind of struggle just off the top of my head to think about who they would be targeting with a first-round pick. I think right now the value that you have with your second-round pick at the positions that you need really makes sense. The only thing that's kind of creeping into my head, especially since you traded away Rashawn Gary, is David Bailey's been dropping in the draft process. The Texas Tech defensive lineman, a ton of videos coming out with him having problems with like reporters and cameramen on the sideline. The way he's talked during the draft process and his interviews, people haven't really been a fan of. Yesterday, Chad Ryder brought up Mekhi Lemon and potentially him falling in the draft process. So if they do want to be aggressive with another wide receiver, that could potentially be a move that you make. But those would be the only 2 players that I could think. I think those guys are still going to be top 15 picks, even if they're dropping.
That's the one thing we'll have to wait and see. Again, draft coming up 23rd, 24th, and 25th of April. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Pfeiffer with you out here at the Bike Expo sale brought to you by Wheel and Sprocket at the Wisconsin State Fair Park. Inside the Expo building, come in the west entrance when you walk in, and it's free admission. Thousands of bikes all on sale right now, including hundreds of used bikes and electric bikes. Plus, they have an indoor track if you want to test ride any of these e-bikes. Plus, they got thousands of accessories, blowout items, parts, apparel, and more. It is Friday. It is that time, Charlie. Use it. Let's go.
It's a Plead the Fifth Friday, sponsored by Habish and Rotier. Who should have just kept their mouth shut? Who made a bad decision commenting on a topic they shouldn't have? Let's hear who you think should plead the fifth this week on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Served up by Wendy's with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
So I have a question, a technical question about what we're doing here. A technical question. And I'm curious to see your thoughts. So this Plead the Fifth segment that we have, and normally we'll talk about coaches, GMs, players, on-air personalities here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. And I've said family, friends, you want to call somebody out and plead the fifth, you can, right? Use the talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. So it's all available. I was privy to a conversation that I was involved in earlier with Tommy Wirtz. Can I use something that he told me into he should have pled the fifth and not talked about this?
Yeah. He's already getting voted for in the text line, too. So Tommy,
he is?
Yeah, Tommy has one vote in the text line already.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see what – there's no way they're topping behind. But okay, good. It is Plead the Fifth, brought to you by Habish and Rotier, national reputation, hometown service. And I'm telling you right now, these are the people you want to go to and take their advice. They're here for you. They're here to get you the best situation. If you're injured in a car accident and are scared and don't know what to do, 13 locations around the state of Wisconsin. Yes, they have national reputation because they've won a lot. The hometown service part, that's the part that we care about, right? They care about you more than just being a number, regardless of what location you go to. If you go to the one in Wausau, if you go to the one in Green Bay, if you go to the one in Madison or in Milwaukee, whichever one you go to, that bedside manner, that being approachable, that's what means everything to me. Just like when you go to a restaurant, environment means a lot. It just does. Like if they give you plastic plates and you're in a cardboard box, essentially, you're like, I don't know if I'm coming back here. I mean, food would have to be really good to come back, right?
Sometimes in those places, it is really good.
Okay, fine. But I mean, at the end of the day, how you're treated by others will determine if you're coming back or not. And that's why everybody loves Habish, and Rotier, because they treat you like family. They treat you like you're good friends with them. They treat you like everybody should treat you at the end of the day. Habish, and Rotier, national reputation, hometown service. Check them out today at habish.com. Where to first? I'm Plead the Fifth.
All right, we'll start with the text that we got on the Nicolay Law Talking text line, 446771250 from the 414. Plead the Fifth for one Tommy Wirtz. At the beginning of the week after the Wilson Contreras whining game, Mitch was saying to Tommy how much he hated Contreras. Tommy then said he should play for the Dodgers. That's how much he hates him. Except the last thing you want is for Wilson Contreras to be on the Dodgers, because then he has a potential of winning a World Series. Screw that guy. I'd rather see the Dodgers win another than that bum get a championship for himself.
I agree. I don't know who that is. I texted that in. But yeah, I agree. Anyone that you don't like, you don't want to play for the Dodgers. Really, at the end of the day. No.
Not at all.
I have no interest. Now, I dislike the Cubs more than I dislike the Dodgers, so to be certain. But they're not going to win anything. So if he goes to the Cubs, sorry, Charlie. If he goes to the Cubs with a trader, yeah, it would suck, whatever else. But it doesn't bother me as much. If he goes to the Dodgers, the odds of him winning a World Series do go up. So I understand that. I don't think Tommy really thought that all the way through. It was just a reaction on the radio. It happens. I don't think that was a thoughtful response where he contemplated how he was going to answer that question when it got given to him. So I can't be too mad about that.
I have a personal mini Plead the Fifth too for you specifically.
Sure.
This is something that I never noticed before, and today it bothered me more than anything else. For some reason, it's been stuck on my mind. So on our button bar here, a little behind the scenes, we have a bunch of different colorful buttons that all play the sounders and stuff. The green and gold update one is red. And I don't know why that just stuck in my head so bad today. But after the show's over, before Tommy gets on, I'm changing that button to green or to gold. One or the other. It can't be red.
You're killing me. That was me forecasting going red and white for the entire state. That's all that was.
I see.
I knew the topic today, so I changed it to red and white.
Predicting. No, it's always
Not
been
at
red.
all,
And
no.
I just today, it was bothering me for some reason.
That's okay. You could change it. Just make sure there's not another green button next to that one that screw me up.
All right, fair enough. I
so
might have to
you're
change,
gonna change
a bunch
that
of
one.
these, let's talk about the Cruise Black. That doesn't make any sense. You got lots of problems going on.
The way. Yes, I do. I have lots of problems. Can I tell you my Plead the Fifth with Tommy that was off the air earlier today? Now, we all, if you're with somebody, you should love them. If you don't love them, you probably shouldn't be with them, right? At the end of the day. And sometimes you let them do embarrassing things potentially to you that you really wouldn't tell your boys about necessarily. Tommy told us embarrassing things. And I was like, well, this has to be talked about on the radio. I'm like, would you, Charlie, allow your girl to pluck your hairs out of your eyebrows?
Yeah, I guess. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I don't think she would. I don't have too bushy of eyebrows, but yeah.
That happened to Tommy yesterday.
Uh-huh.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
But would you allow her to pluck your nose hairs and pull them out of your nose?
That's getting a little more personal. That's more I don't really need
That's
you
what I'm
digging around
saying.
in my nose. If you start pulling out other stuff,
Pull 'em
boogers
out.
and stuff, No, that's that's a do on your own type of thing if you want to do that. Yeah, no, I don't know if I'm down for that.
He was telling me that. I was like, she wasn't doing what? No.
Tommy is aging fast. If you get
And,
bushy eyebrows and the hairy nose, man, that's old man stuff.
Yeah. Right. But man, pulling nose hairs out, do you know how much that would hurt?
Yeah, you definitely tear up a little bit. And
yes.
And if she's doing it, because she's
working.
not feeling it. She's not feeling it, so she's gonna keep pulling.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Oh, shut up! You're being a baby. Shut up! You're fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no. So that should have been a Tommy Wirtz Plead the Fifth. Don't tell your boys that. Don't do that, man. Because especially if we have a microphone in front of our face later that we can talk about that. But I was like, who would allow their girl to do that? There's no way.
Yeah, no. Again, the eyebrows isn't that
No, that doesn't bother me as much. The eyebrows doesn't bother me.
No.
But the nose hairs?
Nose hair, a little too personal. A little too personal.
Too much.
You're getting in there too deep.
Too much. No, your turn. All right, go ahead.
All right, so it's from the outside world. A couple guys that I wanted to nominate. Draymond Green on the Draymond Green show. We've been void of Draymond Green so far on Plead the Fifth. I'm pretty sure. He was discussing how much he loves how Giannis is treating this whole situation with the Bucks.
Giannis welcomes an investigation to the Bucks about him being held out. I love how Giannis treats the Milwaukee Bucks organization. He treats them like, screw y'all, and I don't care what y'all got to say. Meanwhile, they've given all his brothers an opportunity to play NBA basketball. It's the craziest thing I've seen. He's on the sideline cheering and happy for his brothers. Meanwhile, sitting in the back with 2 fingers in the air, telling the Milwaukee Bucks to get the hell out of his face. And I'm going to get y'all investigated. I think this thing could be headed for a nasty breakup. If it don't happen soon, like, it's just getting worse and worse by the day. You have your franchise player kind of getting your organization investigated and saying, hey, by the way, y'all go look. It's not going to end well. It's funny how all the people want interviews and stuff with Giannis, and y'all don't say nothing. But y'all act like Jonathan Kuminga having a problem with his team was the worst thing the NBA has ever seen. I'm so tired of all you hypocrites. I'm so tired of it.
So all I was thinking was, you imagine the outrage and anger that is going to come from all of these national writers and all of these media darling players and ex-players if he signs that extension. Mm-hmm. You imagine how that's going to go? If he comes on and goes, man, I'm done with this. I'm retiring a Buck. I'm signing the extension. And I'll sign another one if I feel like I want to play after this, but this may be my last deal. And then after that, I'm done. I don't want to play anywhere else. I know we had our thing, but they had their best interests for me at the end of the day. Nothing personal. I was just up in my feelings about playing with my brothers. But my brothers are back. My mom may be one of the senior granny dancers this year. Put her on the senior granny dancers. Let her go out there and dance with the grannies on the dance floor or something. Yeah, it's going to be a whole family affair. No, I'm good, man. I'll sign the extension. I could use $280 million or whatever. Like, all these people that are fully invested and convinced he's leaving, Knicks fans who got their hopes all raised up, if he stays, there's going to be a lot of angry people at Giannis for all this. Lots. Bucks fans won't be, but everybody else is going to be steaming mad, Charlie.
It's going to be a weird situation. I can't remember the last time or the first time that a guy re-signing with the team that he's currently on would be a bigger story than him leaving that team, especially a guy as big of stature as Giannis is in the NBA history. Like, that's never happened before. So, yeah, that would be really surprising, but it'd be more surprising that that's surprising almost.
Correct.
All right. And one more here that I have. This is Oregon quarterback coach Koa Ka'ai.
This guy.
On the one question that he likes to ask recruits.
Like, I ask him a question like this all the time. Hey, do you like chocolate ice cream or vanilla ice cream? Okay, the minute a kid pauses, I don't really want that kid, right? Because you need to have some type of conviction, right, wrong, or indifferent. Okay? So whether you like chocolate or you like vanilla, I don't really care. But if you sit there and say, coach, I don't know. Is it melted? Is it not? What's the brand? So on and so forth. Like, what is this kid going to do on third down in front of 110,000? He's probably going to think about it more than he should. He's not going to have conviction, right? So it's, like I just said, long-winded, I understand, but it's the mental aspect is really what we're after.
It's crazy. It's insane.
Somebody employs and pays this guy. And it's at Oregon, so he gets paid a lot of money probably.
Oregon quarterback coach, and they've had a lot of good quarterbacks over the past few years that they're paying a lot of money to.
That guy? Has that guy been responsible for anybody really good?
Let me double check.
That's what I want to know.
He's walking into a room that has a history.
Yeah, but has chocolate or vanilla guy been really successful in development of quarterbacks? Like, I'm sure he's got a quarterback tree
he played for Oregon.
that he has developed. Oh, he played for Oregon.
He was a tight end for them.
That makes sense. That would be a tight end response. I'm sorry, I just offended tight ends. But there's no way. Because if you're going to be a quarterback coach at that level, you would think you got some type of tree of guys you've developed along the way.
You would think so. And based on his Oregon page, they have no information about him as a coach, which would tell me this is his first year. This
might be his
coach.
First job.
Yep.
And his last. And his last job.
Oh, actually, he's been a part of the Oregon Ducks offense of staff as an assistant coach since 2022. This is the first year that he's been promoted to quarterbacks coach.
Yeah, and last.
Uh-huh.
And last.
Well, and again,
if I was a booster listening to that, I'd be like, hey, get me somebody on the phone. But we are not having this dude be in charge of quarterbacks.
You could ask him like a situational question about football that like he would have to make a convicted choice on. not about ice cream, dude. Like, that's not going to tell you anything about how he plays football and makes decisions in football. Shut up.
What do you know? You're not the quarterback coach at Oregon, Charlie. You're behind a microphone with me.
Well, pretty soon here, I'm assuming he may not be the quarterback coach at Oregon either. So
he might be behind the microphone where you're behind the microphone.
Exactly.
Who knows how this whole bad boy is going to play out? Coming up next, follow the money. We got to see where all the money's on. We'll see if there's a lot of money on the Masters going on this weekend right now. We'll give you a Masters update too coming up straight ahead. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Thanks for listening and being a part of Plead the Fifth, brought to you by Habish, and Rotier. I forgot one here on the way out. Scotty Tiffany said, plead the fifth, Sparky. When it comes to absent-mindedly choosing soda, just suck it up.
Preach.
Literally.
Preach, Tiffany.
Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky, Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen producing today's show. We are out here at the Bike Expo, brought to you by Wheel and Sprocket. As the sale is going on, they're saying over 2,000 bikes of all kinds on sale right now, including hundreds of used bikes and electric bikes. Plus, they have an indoor test track for the electric bikes out here at Wisconsin State Fair Park inside the Expo building. Come in the west entrance, free admission all weekend, 3-day sale. It is the largest bike sale in the country. Joining us now is our guy, Austin Herdina. Hit his music.
It's time to follow the money with Austin Herdina, the sportsbook manager of the Potawatomi Sportsbook on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan.
There he is, Austin Herdina. He's on fire, joining us from the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And I will ask you this. How popular is golf in general as far as it being bet on at the Potawatomi Sportsbook? We'll get to the Masters, what's going on currently, but just in general, the sport, whether it be LIV or PGA, how popular really is it compared to, the team sports?
It's not quite nearly as popular as the big leagues that we talk about all the time. But if you in our category of leagues that we take money on, PGA is probably around 9th or 10th this time of between spring to fall, 9 to 10th. The Masters.
What about individual sports, Austin? What's the top individual sports? Is golf close to the top in individual sports, or not even then?
I think tennis probably takes it. Just more money on that. And I think a big reason that is people are betting on tennis matches, whereas in golf, a lot of times people are betting on to win the tournament. And when you're betting on something with longer odds, like 10-1, 20-1 to win a tournament, you're not necessarily laying a lot of money down on those typically. So tennis is higher than golf for us handle wise.
What about UFC? Big UFC fight night tomorrow night. How's the money on that?
Yeah, so that's UFC 327 tomorrow night. We still have seating available. If you want to get reservations, go to potawatomi.com/sportsbook. You'll see the reservation link. That's happening tomorrow night. That's pretty exciting. We get pretty good action on UFC, especially the pay-per-views, more than just the fight nights. And then we also have Tyson Fury boxing match tomorrow. We got that on pay-per-view as well.
Oh,
so if anyone wants to come in tomorrow afternoon, yeah, that should be starting around like 4:30. It's overseas, so it's a little earlier in the day for us. So Tyson Fury fight will be at 4:30. We'll have that on pay-per-view.
That's a beautiful thing. Mr. Herdina, when we talk about this Masters tournament, Rory McIlroy right now at 8 under for the tournament, 3 under for the day. Sam Burns had dropped down the leaderboard, but ended up 1 under for the day, now up in second place at -6, tied with 2 other guys, including Patrick Reed. Where is the money going into this thing at the Potawatomi Sportsbook?
So right now, the way it looks, we got McIlroy at +114. He's setting himself up for a good weekend right now. Tommy Fleetwood at +525 is next. Patrick Reed at 800 at 8-1. Justin Rose 8.5 to 1. A lot of people were betting on Scheffler, of course. He was the favorite leading into this. And then the LIV guys like John Rahm and DeChambeau, they're just not really in contention right now. So McIlroy is probably the biggest name that we took a good amount of money on. So I think that we'd rather see one of these longer shots come through. But McIlroy, he won it last year, right? And he's looking to do it again.
So think of our guy Austin Herdina when one of these favorites wins this weekend, because it's going to come out of his paycheck. He may need to come live with you if this doesn't go right for him. Austin, sportsbook manager over there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Thank you, my friend, so much. We'll talk again next Friday.
Thank you. See you later.
There he goes. Off into the weekend he goes. Just speaking of the weekend, come on out. Hang out here at the Bike Expo sale, brought to you by Wheel and Sprocket at the Expo building all weekend long in Wisconsin State Fair Park. Things that we miss, brought to you by the Milwaukee Admirals. We missed telling you about the schedule tomorrow. Garbedian on golf, 7 to 9, 9 to 11. It's College Sports Weekly. That'll do it for Wisconsin Sports Daily. Have a good weekend, Wisconsin. Toodles.